Hello, and first of all, a very happy new year to everyone. Today is round 6 of the Rilton Cup here in Stockholm, and I'm very happy to be joined by international master Jonathan Westerberg.
Yeah, thank you.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. I've been relaxing following the tournament, the broadcast. So I have been following the tournament so far.
What did you make of what you saw so far?
I'm not completely sure about the standings and all the players, but I have some feeling about who's a contender or winning the tournament so far.
We've already had some very exciting games to cover in the first 5 rounds, but of course now the last four games are crucial. Of course, you will be here with me every day, so I'm looking forward to that. As for the standings, the game we are looking at right now, that is the position on the board, but we'll take it from the start in a second. That is between the two leaders on 4.5 out of 5, Maxime Lagarde and Gopal. And then behind them there is a big pursuer group of 15 players on 4 out of 5. So I think we're now 1 hour into the games, so let's jump into it, and I think maybe go to the beginning.
And before round 5 it was 11 players who shared the lead, and now it's only 2.
Yeah, I think both of them played very interesting games in round 5.
And you know Maxime a little bit?
A little bit, yeah.
I saw some picture on Facebook.
we went for New Year's walk yesterday with there's quite a big group of French players. Yeah, I am half French, so I'm quite good friends with all of them, and yeah.
But he's probably the same age as me, because I remember him for like 6 or 7 years ago when we played in the same group, but it was some youth championship or something.
Yeah, he's a fair few years younger than me. I don't know actually how old you are.
I'm 24.
Okay, that sounds about right. Okay, so let's see.
Yeah. So after knight c3, black have to basically decide if he's accepting the king's Indian. If he plays bishop g7, there's no way back. But he plays with d5 instead, which is the Grunfeld defense. Knight f3, bishop g7. Okay, so normally of course white takes the center with the big center with e4, and black tries to undermine it. And the same happens if like black takes the pawn now. It's quite a favorable version for white. After bishop g7, Lagarde played this move h4, which it was not probably even considered like 15 years ago, but I guess it was popularized by Morozevich. Mainly he played it in a lot of like blitz games and so on. So the idea is it's probably to also attack and open the h file, but also white is using the h pawn like is trying to deflect the knight from f6. For example, if black castles now, you can probably take on d5 first, but you can
just give up the pawn immediately.
Play h5. So when black takes it on h5, the d5 pawn is also hanging. But h4 was I guess if I recall, black can do something immediately in the center. It can play castles, and after h5 play c5, and it was also considered to be equal. But the reason I never liked h4 was this move c6, which Gopal played, and the idea is that black is like he started off with a Grunfeld, but now is more like using a Slav structure, and this pawn on h4 is supposed to look stupid for the rest of the game.
I'm just looking at the time handling. We see that black spent 5 minutes on that move, so I guess this line with h4 is not, let's say, at least Maxime's main repertoire.
I guess it's no one's main repertoire, but everybody uses it like a surprise, from time to time. takes. So it has similarities to like an exchange love, but the bishop is on g7 rather on e7 or d6. But it's not clear how white can really use this h pawn, because if white can never play this move h5, it's this pawn on h4 is not so useful, because it's you have weakened like the g4 square. So and he plays with this bishop f4. So if white cannot attack with h5, this pawn is probably better on h3. g6.
Actually, I think Maxime has played throughout the tournament actually some slightly offbeat openings, so I'm not sure if that's something, you know, just he's happy to experiment. But of course today is a big game. If one of the two players can win today, they will take a serious option going into the last 3 rounds.
Yeah, it's h4 is ambitious move, because you accept, or you are forced to enter some extremely sharp variations if black chooses to. But this the position we have now is it's not so sensible, I guess, because the structure now is fixed, and the game will be slower play now. But white with this move queen b3 tries to put some pressure on like b7 and the d5 square pawns. So black plays this move knight a5, which looks reasonable. Queen b4, and black invites to a repetition now with knight c6.
So Maxime here had an option to go back to b3, after which black could also deviate, of course, but there's always a little psychological moment.
At this point, black would probably do the repetition, because he wants to develop the light squared bishop. But it's not so. As long as the queen stands on the b3 or b4 square, it's not so clear how you're gonna develop the bishop. Because you would like to develop it to f5 probably, but rather than weakening the, for example, in this position. Black doesn't want to weaken the queen side with b6. It's probably too much. So therefore he forced the queen to the a3 square, after which
now the bishop can go to this ideal
bishop
square.
f5 is the most natural move.
One of the things I always wonder, so after bishop f5, I always wonder what's the white king going to do?
With the pawn on h3, you would castle short in every game. I guess the white king will also end up castling short. The alternative to castling short is standing on e1 for the rest of the game. So if we're gonna use this h pawn and we're not gonna just castle short, I guess white have to play something with bishop e2, and let's say black makes normal move like rook c8, and then we have to play something like knight e5 and try to push with h5, because that's the only ambitious way, I guess, to play this position. Because otherwise I think black is completely fine. I also think black is fine anyway, but at least it creates some imbalance in the position. Are
you a Grunfeld player yourself?
No, I'm not a Grunfeld player, but I don't like this, having the pawn on h4 in this this kinds of positions, because from some other variations you can probably have this position with white. Let's say in this position you can probably have this from a normal variation, and then you play h4 at this moment, which is probably slightly dubious.
I see. Okay, so Maxime is thinking after bishop f5, probably wondering.
Yeah, he played bishop f5.
Yeah.
And but okay, white is probably not even worse. Let's say this pawn on h4 may not be optimal, but white is maybe slightly more. He has a slightly more active queen, maybe this queen on a3, but I guess the position is roughly equal since the center is fixed and it's symmetrical also, and the development of the pieces are quite quite symmetrical as well.
Okay, so we'll come back to this one a bit later. I think we're going to have an interesting game here on board 1. There's one game I really want to look at. It's on board 7. There's a young player from India, Anand Pranav, who's been having an excellent tournament. I checked.
He did win against Sebastian Maas.
Actually, I only found out this morning that was a win on time. I didn't know that before, but still, he beat Maze. So he drew the first round against Urkadal, then he beat Maze, then he drew against Percivaldi. I am from Denmark. Then he beat another 2400 player and an almost 2500 player. So after 5 rounds, I think he's only 12 years old or 13. His performance is 2724.
I did play him in the first round here 2 years ago, and it was an equal position, but he lost on time in move 40, so he forgot to make his move 40 in an equal position. But at that time he must have been 2 years younger than now also.
Yeah, probably around 10 or something.
But I seen his name in some other tournaments. In I guess he was playing in Sitges in Barcelona quite recently. So he's one of this young
up and coming
who's playing every tournament now. So
and the reason I'm so interested in his game today is because he's playing a Wander Liang, who is another rising star from the USA. So I thought that should be quite an interesting battle.
But Liang is the most experienced players of these two, even though he's probably just 17 or 16.
I think he was a world champion in the under either 14 or under 16.
He was probably like the youngest, like 2 or 3 years ago. He was the youngest international master in ever or something. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, even now, I'm not even sure. Let me check how old he is now, because these days with these talents, they are around for so long that it's hard to.
But he's still doing quite some progress, I guess. I wonder, Liang.
He's 15,
he was doing quite well in the. I guess he was playing in the U.S. Championship last time and made some. I mean, he could hold Nakamura for a draw and so on. Yeah. Did quite strong performance. I guess I watched the first round because it's always interesting to see the first round. If it's some of the favorites are gonna fall, and if I can recall, actually I wonder Liang was in some trouble in the first round.
Very big trouble against Hannah Marie Kleck.
Yeah.
He was down 2 pawns and then 1 pawn, and I remember when we stopped the show that day, we thought, okay, maybe he can hold, but then he went on to even win the game, so that was quite incredible.
So we have Spanish, or you say Rui Lopez? Or?
Up to you. I think in English, people mostly say Rui Lopez, but where I'm from in Luxembourg, we also say the Spanish, so that's fine.
Okay, d6. This is not so common these days actually to play d6 this early. After d6, white gets some options actually, which are not available compared to the normal variations here. Sorry. Like knight f6 is the main move, of course, but after d6, white can even he plays this move. He plays castle now, but actually quite interesting move is also c4 to completely change like. The position, after which let's say knight f6, white plays knight c3, and later white can play with d4 and get like this Marossi setup with c4 and e4, which is not possible in the other lines.
I should look this up because I have played d6 myself quite a bit, but c4 I never really looked at.
Because when I was very young, started playing chess, they taught me that you have to put the pawns in front of the knights when you develop the pieces. Therefore, c4 makes some logic here.
Who were your teachers?
Very good teachers. But also white, sometimes white also takes on c6. Let's say knight f6, knight c3. If, I guess they go something like bishop d7, but if black plays knight e7, you can already go d4. And these kind of positions are always slightly better for white. But you play this move d6 yourself.
I have played it quite a bit,
and the idea is
but I've played it differently. After castles...
Yeah, he did castle also.
Bishop d7 I also have played. c3. But then here I don't go g6, I go knight e7.
Knight g7,
and then the idea is...
d4.
Yeah, and then you go knight g6. And I mean, it's just a different line. Then you play h6, bishop e7, and try to exchange that bishop on g5.
So very positional approach.
Very.
Because I thought you were gonna attack with f5 or something.
Later, maybe. Maybe later. I have played a game like this. If white is not careful and he takes the bishop on h5, you can very quickly play queen f6 and try to get some attack on the h file. But yeah, I think this approach with g6 that black takes after bishop d7, c3, I think this has been played quite a bit recently as well, if I'm not mistaken.
So.
And we're being told in the chat that A. Wonder Liang was the youngest ever player to defeat an international master when he was aged 8.
Okay.
Which is
when I was 8 years old, my rating was 900.
I didn't even play chess when I was 8 years old.
Okay, so bishop g7. But this is these variations always resembles a little bit of the King's Indian for black. So if you like the King's Indian with black, you should probably try something like this against e4. Because now white anyway plays this move d5, and he later is more or less forced to go c4 in 2 moves instead of 1. But the drawback here is that white is now changing the light squared bishops, which means that whenever black plays this move f5, it's a little bit more vulnerable because this square e6 is not covered by the bishop anymore.
And white, I mean, I guess black needs to watch out for moves like knight g5 and then the knight.
So
jumping in.
It takes some moves in order, because black's more or less only counterplay is to go f5 at some point. But you need to prepare it properly here.
Actually, we see that, so white played c4.
Yes.
So he played h6 to take away that g5 square.
Yes, because so maybe we see that he also plays f5 immediately, because if black plays, let's say, h6, white goes knight c3. If you start with knight f6, and let's say I want to go with c5 quickly. Let's say I play g1, black castles. The point is that this knight anyway have to move now to some square, like e8 before you can even play f5, which means that if black can play f5 at this point without being punished, he has spared like maybe a 2 tempis. And he also goes f5 now.
Black played all his moves so far, I think, immediately, so must still be following his preparation. Actually, both players playing very quickly.
I never liked to play the King's Indian structures with either color, because because it's too dangerous to play with both white and black, Because probably white is always better, but you somehow it feels like you're gonna get get checkmated anyway.
Yeah, it always feels like white is better, but one wrong move or one moment of inattention, and you can just get checkmated or something.
So he played knight d1. So knight d1 is it's quite logical. You want to go with the. Oh, you cannot make arrows now.
I think so. Yeah, I've also tried, but I think we can't.
So the white wants to go with the knight to d3 square. Also maybe get some stability with f3 and then later push with c5. And let's say this attack that black has later. Black, I can just make some moves here, like knight f6, f3, maybe castles, knight d3.
Do you realize you're following the game completely?
Okay, no. But let's say, okay, he played c6 here, but let's say black plays f4. So this is the standard idea for blacking all the King's Indian structures to, go with g5, h5, g4. But this is maybe not so as dangerous compared to the normal King's Indian now when the light squared bishops are exchanged, because white is normally having a bishop on, let's say, e2 or something, and black has his bishop on c8, which makes some sacrifices on h3 possible, whereas this bishop on e2 is really quite passive. So therefore maybe black should not be in such a hurry to play this move f4. He should, because white never wants to take on f5, but black always has this option of taking on e4 maybe. So they followed my moves here. but they played c6. So this is maybe a better idea for black rather than trying to checkmate white. Because this, let's say if black plays with f4, this bishop on c1 can always maneuver to f2 or something and cover some squares. But the idea with c6 is probably at this moment, if black had one more move now, he would play, rather than taking immediately on d5, he would play b5. Let's say I go bishop e3. Maybe it's possible to play b5 now and try to undermine the whole center.
Actually, once again in the game, white went bishop e3.
He went bishop e3. Yes. And the bishop is quite safe on this f2 square. But he didn't play b5.
Actually, I see that he played b5 on the next move. He just prepared it with king h7.
Yeah, it might have been something along this diagonal. Let's say, c5. But
you mean the a2, g8 diagonal?
It might be some tactical issues, like if I take, queen take here. And then you have this check on b3. Maybe white can pick up this pawn on b5, so that's why he started with this king h7 move, which might have been correct. Because the question is how white is gonna react. He played this move rook c1, but...
Was there any way to stop b5? Is a4 ever a move? Or?
Yeah, a4 maybe a move, actually. a4 is playable, I would say, because let's say white wants to open the queen side, so sometimes you may feel like you don't want to play a4 because maybe black can close the queen side, but even if I play a move like c5, you can always play b4 and it will you will probably open the queen side anyway. Or maybe there's a sacrifice at this point already to take on c5 or something. Or you can even start with the a5 with white and later play b4. So you can so black can really not, he cannot control the queen side anyway. But I like a4 actually. It's more controlled because of the rook c1.
Yeah, now black gets in b5.
Question is because you want to react with c5, but I guess it's not working now. Yeah. if I don't lose a pawn, I will always play c5 now. But it feels
So
like
can I take
something is
on
hanging on d5. And you can take on d6. Can I take on d6? Let's say I take on d6. You take with the queen. Maybe I can play bishop c5. And this looks okay for me because I don't know where you're going with the queen. Let's say queen e6 maybe. But I will not. I will be able to take on d5. So actually, I think
that looks fine.
Actually, c5 looks playable.
Yeah.
They didn't play c because if you can. Like there are some vulnerable squares for black here on e6 and on this on c5. It may not be so easy for black to cover everything here. And this bishop on g7 is if the center opens, like if you can keep this pawn on e5, stopping this bishop on g7, white's pieces are more active still. But he took on these on c6. Knight takes. If you take with the queen, I guess he will take on b5 and then play knight d5.
I was wondering, can I play knight b4 and after
knight b4?
Does it make sense to bring that knight to d5 or no?
But I think I'm winning. I'm winning material because you cannot. If you go with this on the 7th rank, I have rook c7 now.
Yeah.
And if
I go to e8,
there's at least a fork on c7.
Yeah.
So.
And if I go, no, that's I'm out
so
of options.
that's why he is forced to take with the knight now. So there's no pawn hanging, I guess. If I take on b5 twice, you can probably just take on a2. No. And this is quite unclear. Black should not. I mean, because black have achieved something, he has created some counterplay now with this move b5. That's why I like to keep it more controlled with a4. So white has some moves left. Knight d5, b takes c4. Okay.
B takes c4.
Which is a sacrifice.
Yes.
Because there's
someone in the chat said it's a blunder, but it's probably not a blunder. It's a sacrifice. But let's try and.
But you always change the. If you win the game, you always decide the history. Like.
We'll find out later.
If he loses, there's just a blunder.
I think it's very easy at home, to see just the evaluation jump and be like, oh.
But it's very concrete now. It depends what happens. So b takes c4, and knight b6 is of course the most critical. But maybe black can. I mean, I was thinking about queen a7 first, in order to have this to capture an e3. But white can also just take on c4 with the knight, and white should be quite happy here.
Yeah, that pawn on d6 looks very, very weak.
So black can also maybe go somewhere else.
Yeah, what if I go to b7, let's say?
Yeah, then I have to take.
I will take on d3.
Yeah, you can take on. Yeah, you take on d3, and I have to go back, I guess. But there are also some problems like on e4, and maybe you can play this move knight. No, not g8. Not here, but.
What if I simply take on e4, but it's not that simple.
It's not.
Can I play a move like knight b4?
Yeah.
So I want to defend d3. I want to maybe jump to c2.
Yes. yes, this is probably more than enough compensation. But you can also, after queen b7, you're maybe not forced even to take on a8. You can take on c4 still. But is this the last move? B takes c4.
B takes c4. Apparently,
Okay.
we're being told that the trick in the chat, I am Baldrick, is saying that knight
b6.
c5.
Knight
is the
c5.
trick.
Okay. Okay, knight c5
and
is
knight f6 is
quite nice. So yeah, the idea is that the queen is now undefended, and the white will pick up the queen. Therefore, after knight c5, the queen have to find a square here.
I mean, maybe in that case, if black really missed knight c5, could b takes c4 really be a blunder?
Where can you even you can go to like f7. But after queen f7, you can take on f6. And if you take with the queen, there's a fork on d7. If you take with the bishop, you can just take on d6, I guess. And how's the material? What? It's still equal material. But now white are
completely in control.
Yeah, this is not real, because you have, let's say, after knight d4. Black is at least forced to sacrifice the exchange here. At this, it may be okay now. Or if you can play rook d8 here. But the idea is that you have this move knight d7. So you have to sacrifice the exchange.
Yeah.
But queen f7 must be played, right? Because queen c8, you have some fork again, but now there's some difference. No, the knights are always tricky. It's not even. It's not so easy to.
I mean, these two knights are controlling a lot of squares.
But I actually, someone in the chat had thought that it was a blunder.
Yeah.
And I also think it's a blunder, because he missed this move knight c5. He saw knight b6, and he found some compensation in those lines, but
probably just missed. Now the question is, will white find knight c5? I mean, if Pranav finds knight c5 and goes on to win this game,
but
he will be on course for GM norm already with three rounds to go, which is absolutely amazing.
The IM norm may already be secured.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But at this point,
I mean, I would be very surprised if he didn't find knight c5. I have to say.
But he will take some time now. There are some calculations to be done, because everything is not clear still after knight c5. If like queen f7, you still have to. You don't want to go back with your knight, so you have to take probably. And I take with the bishop.
And he has, just as we were talking, he has played knight c5.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be very interesting.
But they and also like these young players from India, they're quite good at doing the calculation parts. They're not maybe always as experienced as their opponents, but they have a lot of energy and like precise calculations. So Wonder Liang may be in some trouble already.
Okay, let's come back to this game a bit later. I will let you pick a game.
Yeah. Board 2 is of course important for the tournament.
Let's go there. The top seed Tamir Nabati against Sergei Volkov.
Are we looking at this position from the beginning?
It's up to you.
Okay.
I mean, we can. I think if we stay with the current positions, then we can see, or maybe just go back a couple of moves. Or we can very quickly click through them. It's up to you.
The position. did arise from some French defense. I guess Volkov has won this tournament maybe 2 or times. He's playing here almost every year, and but because I had Nabati's top seed in this tournament, but he was also in some trouble early in the tournament. He was
the first round to start with, and then a couple of more. But he's also not a player who's played some very offbeat openings.
He played with D6 and E6 early in the first game after 3 moves.
And it was also him who has white, unless I'm mistaken.
With A3.
But who played D4, knight F6, knight D2.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Had you seen that move before ever?
Yeah, because we played Israel in the Olympiad now, so Nabati was playing white on board 3 against us. So you're talking about D4, knight F6, knight D2.
Which you played here.
Yeah, but normally you go here, which he played against Hans Ticken in the Olympiad. You play knight D2 at this point. So the idea is that if black goes bishop G7, you go E4, and you play some kind of modern with white. And if black goes with D5, the idea is you can start with B4, but E3, bishop G7, and you go with B4. And you have some this variation have been played at the top absolute top level. The idea is you play bishop B2 and C4, and the third move black can play is this C5 move, which was played in that game. So the idea is after knight D2, which is much more rare than including knight F3 G6. The idea is basically the same, that you want to go E4. So you try to force, because this move knight D2 looks completely stupid after D5. And the idea is that I don't know how the how the game went, but if you go knight F3 and black plays G6 now, then you will go E3 and B4. But it's, I mean, black can even play C5 already, I guess. So it's or something with D5 and C5. So it should not offer white any advantage anyway. But he's quite an interesting player. Anyway.
Yeah, very interesting player. Today he mixed it up and he started with E4.
Yeah, today it looked more normal. I'm not even sure if Volkov have written a book or something, because he has played like probably the French defense for at least 15 or 20 years.
I was wondering the same thing when the game came up. I think he might have written a book actually. Let me see. We shall find out. No.
He has played the French defense
for a long time.
Yes.
But no books have been written.
But this is also slightly this is a slightly unusual setup for black now. With he's playing much lower with B6 and bishop B7. Is it rook 8 D1?
All of this, I guess, is still fairly standard.
Yeah. So white is transferring the queen to the king side. So white is, of course, hoping to attack the black king somehow. Like at this point, if white can move again after queen G3, you want to play this move F5. That's why it takes on D4. Goes knight C5. Is it possible to play F5 somehow? Like if I take on, can I take on C6 and go F5?
I can have a look.
And you take with the bishop.
Bishop, I guess.
Yeah,
I guess I want to. Yeah.
This is not the game, no?
No.
And then the idea was to go f5.
Actually, I'm not sure. Even queen takes. Maybe
Yeah.
at some point I can have some ideas of d4.
Maybe you, d4, but g2 is defended, so I want to go f5.
Yeah.
And now f6 is quite serious.
Threat.
But he didn't take on.
He didn't take on C. He went
Because
bishop.
this would have been the first thing I considered. Is taking and going f5.
Mm.
It's probably not the end of the world, but you get some active play
Yeah.
against the black king. But instead he
But
played.
actually, sorry, what happens if I do take
Okay.
with the bishop
You take with the bishop,
and just
you can take also. Yeah.
no,
you
but can I take on? Sorry,
Mm.
I just had my first New Year's hallucination. I thought my knight was sitting e5, and I was just gonna. I thought I'll just take your e5 pawn, and then what are you gonna do? But no.
But if
That
you
is not an
if you
option.
take, I have some options actually. I can go first bishop h6 also,
Mhm.
even though you have knight
E6.
e6. But I can, let's say I can take on. I don't even know where I'm gonna take now. I can take on f5. I can take on f5 maybe. Maybe this is, and then trying to double on the f file. I mean
Mhm.
something with bishop
Yeah.
h6 and
I mean, I like to attack, so I quite like this for white. But
it's not. It's also the. But it's the most natural plan for
Mhm.
white, trying to go f5. But he played
bishop g4.
he played bishop g4 instead. And this is a very mysterious move in a way. I mean, he still wants to maybe go f5 or have some sacrifice,
Yeah, I guess.
but you have to have some direct point
Yeah.
as well when you make a move. But
Spent quite a long time on bishop g4, but yeah, it does look a bit strange. Black took on d4.
I mean, the threat, as far as I can see, is that, let's say I play king h8, is to go b4.
and take on e6.
Yes.
Mm.
And play. I don't even know if this works.
But after
because you
b4,
have
after b4, can I take on d4?
I'm not even sure this is working actually. But otherwise, I don't.
It might. But definitely, when he played bishop g4, his ideas must have
but
been
it's
connected.
it's still quite strange move for me. Bishop
Mm.
g4. If I'm gonna play bishop g4, it must be connected with some concrete sacrifice
Mm.
or something, because otherwise the bishop may end up stupid on g4. Bishop g4. Okay, he went knight takes d4. Bishop takes knight e4. Okay. But this somehow I never liked this kind of positions with white, because it's somehow this if you cannot attack. I mean, the position have opened up now, and if you cannot attack with the f5, so you have to do it quite in a controlled way. Then this may also be a little bit weakened, and this bishop on g4 looks quite strange for me.
Well, he did play f5 now.
He played f5 now, yeah. Okay, so I guess we have to take it. Bishop takes d8, yeah. And now we want to checkmate.
Yes.
And how do we checkmate?
Okay, so white played c3 first, but is
Yeah.
there anything more concrete?
I guess not. Black has this idea also of sacrificing on d4. So
But even c3 I think looks quite
yeah.
good, because there is nothing black
Yeah,
can
you have-
really do to exchange any pieces or to...
But after
to
question
take
is
off the pressure.
how we're gonna proceed the attack.
I mean, also, even if we ditch our attacking plans, what if we just switch our strategy and just decide to win the e4 pawn?
Yeah, we can try to
Because
win the
that
e4
looks
pawn also.
very weak.
For
and
example,
I guess if we manage to win that, I mean, it's a very serious pawn.
yeah, you can, for example, if black does nothing here, you can try to go queen g4 or something.
Yeah.
And then you also activate the threat of playing e6. So bishop d5. So you can play queen g4, I guess.
Actually, I think he went queen e3 with the same idea, probably, of just simply...
But I wanted also, like, he played queen e3, but isn't queen g4 maybe more forcing something? If black doesn't... I mean, the point is that if you try to defend the pawn on e4, I somehow wanted to play e6 in this position.
But okay,
But just maybe, black can play e3. This I'm not sure of. e3. It looks sensible. Okay, queen e3. So if we can take this pawn on e4, we will always be better, and no chance of losing at least. Queen c6.
Simply, I think simply black cannot defend it, right? And I think that's what happened in the game. Rook e1.
Yeah, we can see what happened.
And white just collected the pawn on e4.
And but black didn't want to trade the queens now.
So we now have this position on the board after queen e6, and white went b4.
But I think that black has some compensation actually. Maybe not like the computer may say like +1, but we have black has a kind of a blockade here on e6. It's not easy for it's probably impossible for white to drive away this queen from e6, which means that this bishop on d4 is not doing so much, and white's king is also a little bit more vulnerable than the black king. And let's say the pawns on the queen side are fixed on the wrong squares also. But what white has is he has some like stability in the position. You cannot break down this blockade and with the bishop on d4, which maybe gives white some time to try to be active on the king side. I'm not sure. Like okay, b4 is the last move. Let's say black does something. I'm not sure what he's gonna do. But just one point is that let's say I play a move like rook d7 now. A mistake white can make. I'm not sure how if we can go rook f1 right away, because it may allow this move f5. Maybe this is okay for black, for example. But the idea, because I think that black somehow wants to undermine. I mean, like something with bishop d8 or something. Try to go to c7 or even to b6, because black have in this position black have actually no plan. I would say. Without you have to you have two options. You can just stand here and wait and try to hold the position, because you have some positional trumps as well. So when white tries to do something, it may backfire. But the other active idea might be to like doubling on d file and or like try to exchange the bishop with some favorable circumstances.
Okay, we'll see how this one develops. Actually, let me see if Mr. Martin Lokander wants to join the show for a little bit.
Sure.
Because I think I will let him do some commentary with you. We're going to mix things up quite a bit today. Later we will also be joined by Ezra Kirk. So I think Martin will take my seat for a little while, and then I will be back later, and also I am Kirk. And we'll see you soon.
Okay. Hi, I'm the new Fiona here. And yeah, and you might recognize me from earlier Rilton Cups, but I'm not doing commentary this year. Well, for 15-20 minutes here, but this is the only time you'll see me probably. And I haven't seen much of the games actually, so you probably know more than me what's interesting or not.
Yes, I was. Some games are interesting. I was up in the. I was walking in the playing hall like 10 minutes after the round started, and I recognized something. It was not this game.
92 is a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah, because I thought it was something else. I thought this was something else. I thought it was like this trap with Queen B3. No, but what's interesting? What's interesting? I don't know. If we are we checking the Swedish players?
I don't know. We can check it.
Because did you saw the game between Blomqvist and Juan Bayon yesterday?
I saw Nitex H4.
Yes, yes. So basically the two of the best who are the Swedish players who had done best at this tournament played each other yesterday, but Erik Blomqvist was just giving away his queen yesterday. So now Juan Bayon is at 4 points. And I was a little bit interesting of this game because it looked extremely strange from the beginning.
A6. He usually plays this quite a lot, I think. I mean, he has played like the A6 low as well, but this is one of his like pet openings. I can't really say that I played it myself, but
now he goes E5 and then B5.
Okay, so this is definitely something he has looked at home, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happens if knight takes b5?
If knight takes B5.
Do you think he would just take the center with d5 or something?
He can play D5 immediately. I mean, it has some similarities to this Kasparov gambit that Kasparov used he used a similar gambit against Karpov from the Sicilian, where he sacrificed some pawn on B5 to get the center. But you can also include maybe this check on A5 in order to drive back the knight, and then you can go maybe D5. Because you may want to drive back the knight first.
Did you think for 4 to 5 minutes after b5?
White fought for 40 minutes, or what did you say?
Yes, that's 43 minutes and 40 seconds.
Okay.
It's quite a lot. But,
and they are thinking of, because they have only made 11 moves, but he's down to 35 minutes.
Yeah.
And you get half an hour after move 40, or?
You shouldn't ask me, I have no idea.
So bishop g5.
Yeah.
We can see what happened, because
But that was like probably the first new move for Belon, because he fought for 20 minutes.
Yeah, they are probably playing by their own at this point. But somehow he sacrificed a piece after bishop takes f6.
But do you think this b5 is improvised?
B5. Oh, I mean, he has seen this games with Kasparov when he sacrificed the pawn and he fought like, or it has some similarities also to some Blomfeld gambit or something. So it's quite the idea is not new to him, but maybe this position is new to him.
Yeah.
But it's actually I have some sympathy for this move, b5 anyway.
Yeah, I mean you get some center. And
I want to see what happened now, because he played bishop takes f6 and b4, and then he took on e5. White can probably he cannot keep the extra piece in this position.
I mean you can play b3 or something if you move the knight. Like knight e4, you can play.
Yeah, if knight e4, you can go check on b3 check.
Yeah.
And this it may still be playable, I guess. But you're black is at least getting back his piece anyway. That's why he took this pawn on e5 at this point.
Yeah, and I guess you have to take an e5.
Queen d5. But this looks. How is the material? The material. White is still up a pawn. Yes.
It's a very creative move, rook a5.
Yeah, now rook a5, which forces trade on the e5, and black has activated his rook.
Yeah, and like the knight on c3 is running out of good squares, but yeah, it's still a pawn.
Yeah, so black for the knight d1.
No, I played knight.
I would have guessed on knight a4 maybe, but black has something for the pawn, right?
Yeah, I mean the b4 pawn is quite strong, and the bishop pair is always something.
The only thing that worries me is that black's structure is a little bit weakened as well. So you have to do. Black is, I mean, he's forced to find something quite soon. I guess you cannot really, you cannot allow white just to play e3 and develop the bishop and castle. So.
Well, I mean, if you play like knight c6, e3, d5, or something, and if you go bishop e2, then bishop f5 is quite annoying.
But here
so
I
probably bishop d3 or bishop b5 is annoying. Yeah, okay. So maybe not.
This.
So maybe d. No, I don't know. d6. Knight c6 can't be that bad, I think.
Knight c6.
Yeah, it looks very natural. Maybe white. After e3, black should go d6.
But
so bishop b5.
I wanted to be clever somehow to like play bishop b7, and after e3, just develop the bishop like to c5, so that I have some. I mean, you have to defend g2 or something before you can develop.
Yeah, but okay, maybe white can just slowly play f3, bishop d3, and just slowly unravel or something.
I guess it's probably not. It's probably.
Do you think it's enough compensation?
I think that this is more dangerous for black than white, because the pressure is on black now to create counterplay, and it's not completely obvious to me how you can create enough counterplay here.
Are you the type of player that usually, takes pawns rather than sacrificing it?
Yeah, I take pawns when I'm forced to. So often, but let's say like when black plays this move b5, white is forced. You can say that white is forced to take this pawn.
Yeah.
Because if you don't take it, black will anyway get everything that he got for the pawn, so to say.
Yeah.
So at this point, I would take the pawn. But I would, in this position, I like black's chances. But in the final position we have now, I would much rather play with white, because somehow it's easier to develop the pieces than to create the counterplay here.
Yeah.
And also, I guess that the Basis is the favorite in this game from the start.
It probably is.
I don't know which games we have.
Should we take a look at Gajewski's game?
Yeah, where is he? Gregor Gajewski.
Seems like white is blundered.
Yeah, what happened?
Because bishop c5 is coming in.
Okay.
So this is.
Yeah, this bar here tells us that black should be doing quite well now. Black has sacrificed a piece at the moment, but now we have some quite good options. I guess bishop c5 check.
That can't be wrong.
So you have to go into the corner.
Yeah, otherwise knight takes h2.
If king f1, we have the fork here, so we have to go into the corner. But you can give the check, and after.
D2 hänger.
Yeah, the bishop on d2 is also hanging. But you can request.
It's kind of difficult when everything's hanging. You don't know what to take.
Yeah.
Can you play like knight f2, king g1, g4, and the queen is running out of squares or something? Like queen f4, then you can go knight d3. Queen
So here
f6, then you have knight e4.
But I will try to save myself with the rook.
Oh yeah.
Takes c5.
Oh yeah, that's annoying. Yeah.
But I just want to take on d2.
It's probably quite smart.
What happens if I take? Or should I take in? But if I take now, you have rook. You have rook f1 now maybe, which I don't know if I can hold on. Ah, the bishop. Ah, you can just. It's hanging on.
Just knight f2, right?
Yeah, it's hanging on e2 also, so you can play.
Yeah.
You can play this. So rook takes d2 here is completely winning it.
What was the blunder from White in this game?
E4. E4 didn't work out so well for White.
Apparently not. Probably some miscalculation.
So knight takes d4.
So
He
probably he missed queen b5.
yeah, he thought that they were gonna exchange queens here, but then he can at least get back his pawn on g5.
Yeah, this wouldn't be that bad for White, but queen b5 is obviously quite bad.
Now it's after queen b5, it's almost over.
I think it is over, but yeah.
And Gajewski has never won Rilton Cup, no?
I don't think so.
But he has played here before.
I think so, yeah.
And he's second to some good player.
Anand, I believe.
Yeah.
At least he used to be. I'm not sure if he is anymore.
Okay. So he will, if the game on the first board, we can check how the position is now. But if they draw, some players will be able to catch up.
So Lagarde is he's the sole leader.
No, Gopal is sharing.
Oh, okay. So it's okay.
And it was this early h4 in the Grunfeld, but black changed the structure to some Slav structure.
Oh, so it was 5h4 c6.
Yeah.
Okay.
H4 and c6, and now the queens are exchanged, which limits the chances for both players to win the game, I would say.
Yeah, at least the structure tells that story, but I mean, h4 kind of looks strange having the structure, because usually you want to annoy this bishop on f5 with various like knight h4 ideas.
Yeah.
Now it's much more safe.
But if I would be White, I would be somewhat relieved to have exchanged the queens, because then the king will never be in any danger without the queens anyway.
You're a very safe player, right?
Yes, but you have to play this position safe in order not to lose.
But usually players who play h4 don't want to trade queens, you know.
Yeah, but I don't think he have. Actually, I think both players are quite happy with a draw at this point, because it's not so much you can do. But okay, we can still look at the position, because of the bishop e5, White has a threat at least.
Yeah, he wants to take a pawn. So probably he wants black to play e6, and then probably...
he wants to force this move e6.
And then maybe he can play some knight to f3 stuff, just to make the bishop uncomfortable.
The bishop on f5 is now boxed in of its own pawns. So e6, I would be thinking twice before playing e6. But the point is also that, I mean, you normally would like to defend the pawn maybe with rook d8, but White has some tactical bishop c7 here. And if you play a move like bishop e6, I guess you go knight g5.
Yeah.
So how do you...
I mean, it looks like e6 is the only like comfortable move to play, but you need to be really careful about the bishop, I think.
Okay, so let's play e6. And I like your move knight d2 actually. You can include a6 if you want to. But
Yeah, but then probably bishop e2.
yeah. You should not. You should be able to save your bishop. But let's say rook c8.
Okay. I'm not completely sure what the idea is, so I play f3.
Okay, but now actually you can win an exchange here with white. So,
Okay,
so
yeah,
it's
that's
not
even better.
it's not
I should
possible.
take the other rook.
Yeah, the other rook to c8.
And
I play
let's try
f3.
f3. Yeah. I mean, you could play h5, but that's also like a bit inflexible.
Can I play h5?
No, I mean after f3, black can play h5.
You can play h5. But I will always be a little bit worried.
Yeah, I'm always worried with the bishop on f5.
So maybe white has the slightly more comfortable
Yeah,
position
I think so. I mean, that bishop on f5 is like why I stopped playing the Grimfield. I always lost that bishop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think white's slightly better.
But still quite big drawing margin
Yeah,
here.
of course, black has to be
Yeah.
careful, but if he's careful, he should make a draw.
Yeah. And
Have we looked at Donchenko?
Yeah, the Donchenko against.
I thought he won the Blitz tournament.
Yeah, he
9
won
out of 9.
the first Blitz tournament here. But I've been quite impressed by Heberla. I've seen some of his games. In the last round, he had some winning chances against Nabati in a rook endgame with an extra pawn, and
Yep.
he's also playing in Sweden for a Swedish team. So I've seen some games of his. So I don't know. He's probably not that young anymore, around his 30s or 28 or something maybe. But
I actually saw that game live, Heberla against Nabati, and I thought like he was completely winning at some point. But apparently it was a draw in the end. I didn't really catch up to what happened in that game.
And in this position, he has maybe something with black.
Yeah, I mean it's a very safe position, at least with black.
Because the only so they are in an endgame now, 2 rooks, and black has this bishop against the white knight. And the only weakness I can see on the board is this pawn on b3, which black played this move rook b7, which is signaling a very clear plan.
Yeah.
He wants to double the rooks and take the pawn on b3, right?
So probably one long-term plan can be, yeah, I mean if you don't play knight f1, in this position, if black's to move, you can play rook b8, rook b1, rook b4, and then probably take on a4.
Yeah, like this is it's not completely stable.
Yeah, but I mean if black is to move, then
because you have this rook b4, yeah.
And you can't prevent rook takes a4, what I can see.
Om man inte skulle springa f1 till d2 förstås.
Yeah, he played knight f1, so he has knight e2.
Yeah, so he wants to defend the pawn with the knight in order to free his own rooks.
Yeah.
But then you have to be sure that black cannot trade his bishop for this knight also. This is the last move, yeah? Knight f1. But I would say that there's no danger in losing this endgame for black, because white has basically no active plan. Because if the only plan he can have in this structure is to go something with the e4 or like f4 and the e4, but when the position opens up, this bishop will become even stronger, because the bishop is better than the knight when in the rook endgame.
I mean, if the white knight were able to go to like b5, it could be kind of annoying, because c6 is not really a move you want to play, but it's kind of far away from b5 as well.
So we can, if we double now, you play knight d2, right?
Yeah.
And now I go bishop h6.
I go e3.
Yes. You go e3, and I go back.
Too bad.
I wanted to provoke this move e3, but now I want to switch the plan somehow. Say bishop g7. Because I have a lot of time also here as black, so I mean the tempos are not so crucial. What is white doing? Is just standing and waiting, or?
It's really annoying. I mean, I'm not completely sure how black is going to win, but because I had like, if you can play king e6, e6 and d5, then you might start having something. But if the king goes to e6, then e4 might start to be a problem as well. But you can play very slowly here, I guess. Like king f7, maybe push h5 at some point.
Yeah, but I guess draw is the normal result in an endgame like this. But the only player who's completely safe is black.
Yeah,
I guess, because you always have enough pressure on the b file, whereas and the position is even more shaky if white tries to open up with e4 at some point. Okay.
Should we take a final look before I?
And the Gajewski won his game.
Yeah, we can take one final game before I hand over the real Fiona.
Okay. We can maybe look at Kartikeyan against a Malaysian player. Because
I'm not familiar with the black player here.
No, I'm not familiar with him. I have never seen him before, but I've seen his games. I think he has 4 out of 5, and he drew a couple of higher rated players.
Okay.
But that was when he was playing white. So now he's having the biggest challenge so far, because he's playing black against strong opponent. I guess actually Kartikeyan won the Indian Championship. Maybe not last year, but the year before.
Okay.
But then the absolute best players are not playing, but he won it anyway. So what do we have here? They have only exchanged 1 knight so far.
What kind of opening was this? I'm not really familiar with.
It was this
Okay.
Reti.
Okay. Yeah, I'm horrible in this type of structure. But I mean, both players look quite solid to me. I mean, no particular
Nothing much is happening.
No, but I mean, I think it's a good opening to play when you're playing for a win. Also because a lot of pieces.
Yeah, it will. Of course, if he wants to have something, if he wants to have a chance of winning the tournament, Kartikeyan will play a very long game today.
Yeah.
Because it requires much energy to win this position like this, with this kind of closed center.
Yeah, I'm thinking like, do you want to play knight g5?
I was wondering if knight e5 is a move.
Yeah, I was wondering both. But
so if I was playing in black, I would considering playing a move like bishop g4 now.
Yeah, and
especially since white cannot play h3.
And if you play something like completely useless here, then maybe queen f5 and so on can be quite annoying.
Yeah.
If you can't get rid of that pin. So maybe you should move the queen.
Let's say queen c2.
But then maybe we have bishop f5.
Queen, yeah, but we're going queen.
Queen b2?
Queen b2.
I don't think black has any big issues, but
the question is if black can try to be ambitious as well. Because if you want to be ambitious, you play this move f6 now, in order to take away the squares for the white knight, and then you can you have some options. You can considering playing bishop h3 and try to play this move e5. But you don't have to play e5. You can also just keep the position. But
I'm not a big fan of f6. I mean, but
it's almost never the best move in this kind of positions, but it creates some imbalance.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be worried like knight to e4 and so on. Just playing in the center could be an issue if you start playing moves like f6.
But if you want to be super safe, which is probably not the safest option, but then you can take on f3 and try to play a position with e6. But these positions are always slightly better for white, I guess, with the bishop here.
Definitely.
And the structure is not decided yet.
I mean, before I kind of wanted the queen to be on a6 for black. I mean, even before bishop g4, but I realize it's quite difficult to get it there in a good way, because well, on a6 you kind of increase the pressure on c4 as well.
You want to have the queen on a6.
I mean, it looks kind of like a safe square for the queen. But
So
I mean, if you
queen
go
c8.
there, then you have to watch out for c takes d5 at some point, or maybe bishop b2, bishop a3.
Yeah.
So it's not really easy to make it happen. But I mean, I think bishop g4 looks very, very sensible.
Bishop g4, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like in the game between Lagarde and Gopal. This bishop is not completely safe. So sometimes you want to exchange it, or you want to harass white with it, because you cannot stand maybe on e6 for the whole time. But because if I'm black, I'm not thrilled about accepting knight e5 and bishop takes e5, because I want to keep my bishop on g7. That's why I want to exchange the bishop for the knight, or to play f6. Like I can try to play f6 now also. But
I definitely agree with bishop g4. I'm not completely thrilled about f6.
Bishop g4 is most natural, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe, but okay, maybe white has the slightly better chances, but it's
I mean, you have
very
g4.
it's very little.
Yeah,
I would guess.
I think maybe we should take a small break, and thanks for this tournament.
Yeah, thank you.
For me at least. Okay.
And we're back. We're still here, round 6 of the Rilton Cup. It was very nice to have Martin here for a little bit, but now back to your usual commentary team for the last 4 rounds. And we have just brought up the Tiger, that's Tiger Hillar Persson, who's the highest rated Swedish player to be playing in the Rilton Cup this year. And as usual, he has spent quite some time and played an interesting opening, let's say.
Yeah. I mean, he's famous for playing this type of positions, which always looks like some mixed up hippo, or what you call like modern defense, but his somehow it looks quite strange for black because it's looks quite passive.
Shall we maybe go back to the beginning, since we're only on move 10?
Because
I think there will be a time scramble.
It's sort of like a London setup against the King's Indian. And after 95 he played f6. And then d6.
Even on this move, he spent already 20 minutes.
Yeah.
On move 5.
So they are creating new opening theory at this point. I mean, the idea of taking this bishop is not new, but normally you do it with h6 and g5. So, like here after knight h5, bishop g5, h6, bishop here. I mean, you can have this kind of positions, after which you will eventually end up taking the bishop, and your king side is slightly weakened. So that's what white is getting in return. So f6, but f6 may not be as big of an weakness if black gets everything he wants, because later he will end up playing f5 anyway. So let's say if black will be able to play bishop g7, castling short, taking the bishop on g3, and then going e5 and f5, there will be no weakness compared to when the pawn is on g5. But
so the question is, does he have time?
Does he have time? And e3 is a little bit of a surprise. I would, if I would be white here, I would just take the center now and go e4 in one go. E3 looks, because e3 looks like the move that the London player plays here. He's very focused on playing the London now.
Yeah, it's strange. It's strange when black gives you the opportunity, you know, to play active moves and develop your pieces actively. Slightly surprising to put the pawn on e3 regardless.
But it can be dangerous to play like this, because if you're stuck to your system and you want to play all the standard moves, black may use that fact in order to get a more favorable version. So I would go e4 and knight c3 and try to just grab as much space as possible here. Black goes e5, bishop e2. Now he takes. I'm not sure if you have to take now. I mean, there might be some. He's probably not forced to take immediately, but
he will take eventually.
He will have to take eventually. Bishop g7. So black has the bishop pair, and actually he has, I mean, acceptable influence in the center also. Knight c3. And now he went for e4 anyway.
I mean, it's very strange. I think basically when you play e4 you admit that you just lost the tempo.
Yeah. But it's hard to imagine that black should be better anyway. Objectively speaking, the computer never likes these positions for black. But Tiger doesn't care so much about that.
What the computer thinks.
I guess he's quite happy because, I mean, he has played these positions a lot of times, and he knows how to. He will not like attack immediately. He will try to slow play this position. I mean, like defend all the critical squares, and then he will slowly try to. He will slowly try to use his bishop pair and open up with f5, but it might take some time.
Well, he's probably going to be quite short on time, because after c6, queen d2, put his knight to b6. That is the position on the board, and we're only on move 11, and we're almost 2.5 hours into the game.
And Tiger, the time is one of his weaknesses as a player, I would say. It's not just that he's short on time in many games, but he sometimes forgot his time. like 4 years ago in the Swedish Championship, he lost 2 games on time in equal or better positions, and he was playing the London Chess Classic just recently, and he lost on time. He forgot to make his move 40 in a winning position. So therefore he should probably play a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Because I mean the nothing is decided yet. So
I mean, even on the highest, I think maybe it's comparable to a player like Ivanchuk. I think both of them are very creative players, you know, and I think he's really enjoying his games and, you know, his creative.
That's Tiger's problems, that he likes chess too much. Because if he just wanted to win the games, it would probably be better.
Maybe he needs to take a somewhat more pragmatic and more practical approach. Because time will be actually. But Lauren is also another player. I know Lauren a bit, and also in this tournament I've seen him be low on time in a lot of games. So at the moment it's still okay. They have 28 and 20 minutes, but so many moves still to go.
And they played each other in the London Chess Classic just recently.
Okay, what was the result?
It was a draw. Tiger was playing white, but actually Lauren was winning in the final position, but he offered a draw. So maybe he has some respect for Tiger.
Yes. Well, we'll see how today goes. It's going to be very interesting. Lauren is thinking now, and I think we can come back to this one and after our break, when the players are down to pretty much no time, I expect at that point. Okay, where shall we go next? I think let's have a look at one last game, and then we'll have another substitute. We'll be joined by Ezra Kirk from England. Where do you want to go?
Should we look at the new game or somewhere?
Let's take a new game.
Because the bar here is telling us that Urkedal is completely winning.
Yeah. I actually very often I also go to where the bar is the most swinging, but so often it's so deceiving.
But compared to Tiger's game, they have come quite far in this game.
Yes, they have. Let's just stick with the current position. So this is Santos Latasa against Frode Urkedal.
Yeah. And it started off like a Queen's Gambit. Queen's Gambit declined, and you and Ulf Andersson Ulf Andersson was discussing this kind of endgames where black has this weakness on c6 and black will try to defend it, and then it will be a draw. But now this is not maybe the weakness on the board. It's something is quite sensible here on f2, and the e3 pawn is not so easy to defend. Because now
is there something immediate?
I want to take on f2, of course. And you are forced to take with the king.
To defend e3, and then maybe knight g3.
If I go knight g3, you are forced to go. You go to c2, yes.
I guess so, yes.
You go to c2. We have something better here.
Yeah, I wonder as well, because the position looks very good, and the engine is telling us minus 2.4, so it feels like there should be something, but because all the pieces seem to be ideally placed, so how is the way to make progress? Maybe
this is, but you're not forced to take, because white can never really move the pawn anyway, but it's the only way forward I see right now. So we take. You cannot take anything, so you have to play knight here. I mean, you can give the check here. This check, but you.
Okay, but maybe what about this? So after knight e4 check, where is white gonna go?
I guess f3 is possible.
And I was wondering if I go rook.
But the pawn on.
Yeah, I wanted to go rook b8, but that's not gonna do anything. Okay, what if in this position after king f3 can I play... I wanted to go f5, but I'm not in time.
Because if I cannot make this work at this point, I want to play something different.
Well, actually, black has played rook e6.
Yeah.
So he's, I guess, preventively defending c6. And maybe the rook is at some point threatening to swing to f6, maybe?
Yeah. Because now you have a threat, actually. Let's say I play... let's say, I don't know.
It's hard to even find a pass.
Yeah, I go king g1. The idea is that I take, you take, I play knight g3, you play rook c2, I give a check, you go here, now I take on e3.
Oh, very nice.
And then I have this
That's a very
mate
nice
on
tactic.
h1.
Yeah.
So that is the threat as far as I can see, but the problem is that white doesn't have so many waiting moves.
Well, white played knight c5.
Yeah. And now if you take, you have this
intermediate check
on e6, which means that he should go to f6.
Yeah.
But now, and now you, because now you're threatening to take on e3 actually. But you're also free to move the f pawn now.
Why am
even
I
though it's not optimal.
Why am I threatening to take on e3?
Maybe you're not. But you're threatening to take
here first.
Yeah. But now you're forced to.
He did go rook f6.
Because you can, let's say, if knight d7, you can take on f2.
And after king takes.
King takes. You can play. What can you play? Oh, you can actually. But I don't know if you can take on d4 and try to like enter some endgame, but it's maybe white has something
I'll
here.
give some check.
Yeah, or you can take on d5.
I'll take
maybe.
on d5, yeah.
But you can also try. You can try to remove the rook first, and then play something like knight g3. But the knight comes back to f3, which is quite.
Wait, you're not gonna give up the rook.
I move the rook first, and then I go to f3 with the knight.
And it looks like white is just maybe holding on.
What's the position? Rook f6 is the last move, yeah?
White, yeah, that is the last move.
Because if you cannot, if I would like to play knight d7, because otherwise I'm forced to play f3 now. But f3.
F3, is there some...
Yes.
Is there some tactic here?
Is there some tactic? I'm not sure, but how do you break through? I mean, it's not so
it's not so nice,
optimal, but
yeah. What if I go rook e6?
No.
Yeah.
It's I have a knight on c5 still.
Oh.
But you can.
That is a good point.
But I mean, probably this is actually. I think black is have some time here to maybe like regroup the rook. You can play rook d6 to d8
because
to
white
e8.
is sort of stuck. I mean, he can't move any of the rooks. He can't really move the king.
So
Knight
yes,
doesn't really have any
your rooks are forced to defend e3.
Yeah.
Now I can just.
I mean, actually, what does white even play? King G1.
And then the knight can't move, so now I'm just gonna go rook d8 and rook e8, and so I guess we have to make knight d7 work at this point. But then he must have been planning to take on f2.
But what happens if I go rook e6?
Oh, maybe this is. I don't know if this is interesting. to take on e3 and give check, and then
Rook a2.
But it's just perpetual, maybe.
Yeah, I'm slightly worried by the
Yeah,
evil engine
yeah,
telling
yeah.
us 0, 0, 0.
So knight takes a3. e3 will force a draw. But if I mean, the idea must have been take on f2, because if I move the rook now, I will play knight e5, and then my king is even safer than before. So I take, and we have to take with what? Yes, we took with the king, right?
We
Yes.
did, yes.
What do we play now?
So we tried knight takes d4, we also tried rook d6.
We can of course move the rook, but we can play like rook e6, for example. And the idea might be that if you play knight e5, maybe I can go c5. And if you go back, I can play. Can I play just rook d6?
And we're gonna...
I'm gonna go knight g3 eventually. I mean, maybe it's not. I guess it's not completely over, but it's definitely very, very dangerous for white now.
Yeah. White is still thinking, and knight d7 is on the board.
Knight d7. But you can also. Where did the rook came from? The rook came from e6. Yeah. So if he goes back now, it's.
Yeah, but I don't think.
Then he's forced to take. If he can go back to e6 still, but then rook knight c5. Then you have to take on f2. King takes.
And we're gonna get this position we just looked at and see what black does here.
Yeah.
Shall we check this one a bit later?
Yes. Yes.
I think we're gonna get Ezra Kirk on now, so Jonathan is gonna get a little break, actually long break, because after this we will go on our usual daily break. So we're just gonna take a very quick break now to change the team here, and we'll be right back. And we're back here, still round 6 of the Rilton Cup, and I'm very happy to be joined by my good friend and international master Ezra Kirk from England, who is visiting the tournament. Before we go to the games, tell us, how have you been enjoying? It's your first visit, I believe, to Rilton?
Yeah, first time to Sweden, and Stockholm's just really, really pretty, so I've been walking around a bit and spent New Year's here, so very good fun.
And you have some good friends playing in the tournament. One of them is one of the co-leaders, Maxime Lagarde. So maybe let's have a very quick look at his game, because I think
I was quite disappointed when I saw the positions.
What did you make of his opening choice of this h4 line?
I think when you play a move like h4 and move 5, you don't expect a position like the one he's got now. So
which is a bit uneventful.
Yeah. Oh, now something's happening. So I probably spoke too soon, but...
So I think the guys, when they had a look at it, they left it off here after a 6-ish. And Yeah, I mean, I hadn't seen it since the opening stages, so you were saying you were a bit disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, you could expect more fun after h4,
But the queens did come off.
e6, yeah, knight d2.
Actually, I will give you the mouse after all. That will be
Okay.
easier for you to
Well,
talk
use
us
this
through
one.
the...
Knight d2 seems pretty normal. f3, I think you were talking about this a bit earlier. Knight c6. Okay, and he's gone for this very sharp forcing variation. Oh, okay. So he just swapped off the bishop. Okay, so in a closed position, you're more likely to swap off a bishop for a knight, so it's not the end of the world. I think-
Because the bishop pair isn't doing so much here.
Yeah, so they're blocked by a closed position, so they're not quite as dangerous as in open positions.
Okay, black decided to open things up.
Which, yeah, makes sense. So if this works, black should be completely fine. So let's see, knight 65. So maybe there's nothing sharp straight away. He might just be giving up the pawn because...
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to explain this, I think, to me and to part of the audience, because, okay, there's just a pawn sacrifice. There is no immediate way.
I don't think... there might be, but I can't see it straight away. But the idea is that here you've got a pretty calm position. And as I was saying earlier, your bishop pair is very useful in open positions. So, and here you can also see that the white king is... If the position were open, it wouldn't really know where to go. So the idea is you give a pawn, but you open up the bishop pair. You open up the position for the bishop pair, which becomes really strong. And I'd imagine he'll probably play something like just bishop g7 if there's nothing wrong with it.
Okay, so let's have a look. Bishop g7.
And now white has a few questions to answer. I guess it's not so easy to play. But maybe... Okay, so check out the forcing lines first. Okay, the problem I can see first is if e4, then maybe knight d4 is an issue.
Some tactics.
Okay,
Okay,
I was looking at this, but the knight will probably be stuck in the corner here.
Okay, so knight c2, king f2.
Okay, you're giving up too many pieces here. And this is just good for white. So you can't take on d4.
So the bishop has to retreat.
And it's not so easy to find a good square here, because the knight's jumping to c7 or b6. Maybe you can...
I mean, you
Take
don't have
this
so
stuff.
many options.
Yeah, I'm just checking out something like this. Knight 64 is running into the same issues. It's actually not so easy to play.
I really like actually what black has done with this
Yeah, it's
e5
nice.
move, because if we come back to the position after a3, I think if black doesn't go e5, he just has no active plan.
Yeah.
He's gonna sit.
No, I like it. It's a logical way to treat the position, but it's... and at least... and I like it as well, because it makes it more exciting too.
I mean, it's a big game, as I said earlier, because we are looking at the board 1 clash between the two co-leaders of the tournament on 4.5 out of 5, and I said if one of them can win today, it will be a big step, you know, in the standings. Actually, I think Maxime probably didn't have a choice but to take on d5 anyway.
Yeah, it looks normal. Yeah.
And black
And
has
he's
just
played
played
bishop,
bishop g7, and now Maxime will have to find a way to deal with this.
No, it's nice this. And I think Maxime is someone who... He likes to be in control of the position and to have the initiative. And I think that's when he's the most dangerous. And
So you think you probably won't be too happy here?
no, I mean, being on the back foot is not... I mean, most players is the same, but I think especially Maxime is not a big fan of defending. And this doesn't look that easy to defend. But okay, if e4 is okay, then maybe it's
But
forcing.
actually, Maxime, he has been on the back foot in a few of his games.
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
I remember even the day before the rest day, he was playing against the Italian player.
Yeah, that game was... Yeah, he got very lucky in that one.
He got
yeah.
very lucky. And also, I mean, I think it was also a time scramble. I'm just looking at the time situation. Time could become a factor here very soon, because the players still have to make 20 moves, and they're down to 20 minutes or under 20 minutes. How does Maxime deal with time trouble?
Well, normally he's quite a fast player, and he's quite instinctive, and he's generally quite fast. But in this tournament, he's been quite slow. We've noticed, and he's normally, as a general rule, this is a bad sign. If you usually play quickly and you start slowing down, it's not normally a good thing. But here he's not behind in time, so that's a good sign.
I guess, yeah, the more pressing issue is to find not just a move, but a plan for white here.
Yeah, I imagine it's going to get quite concrete. And if
what are the alternatives? We looked at e4. What other options does white have?
okay, so you can take on e5, but which makes sense as well.
I guess I will take with the.
Both are quite
The
interesting.
problem is if I take with the knight, can you just give this
yeah,
check?
no, so, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is quite annoying.
Okay, so I
So
have to
bishop
take
takes.
with the bishop.
Yeah, I quite like black here.
Because suddenly there are some issues. The bishops are now completely open.
So maybe. Okay, you want to play. Well, okay, knight c4. There's stuff like bishop g3 check that might be annoying.
And suddenly this king.
Yeah.
I guess the king has to go to f1. I don't believe
Yeah,
you
but
can
it's-
go to
yeah.
the d file.
It feels wrong. Something in white's position is just. I mean, the h1 rook is.
I don't
how's he
think
gonna
we
get
will
out?
see d takes e5. I don't think you want to open
Nah.
the bishop anymore.
If e4 works, it's the kind of move you
Yeah.
want to play. That's it.
So let's have another look at e4. So we looked at two possible moves here, knight d4 and bishop e6.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, it won't be. I doubt it's going to be something like bishop c8. That would be weird.
Yes.
So just from elimination, bishop d7.
But bishop d7 also. Am I going to take?
Does it just not work? I mean, knight b6 and d5 is already quite annoying, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And you're
so
solving.
something like this.
And then again, white's now
yeah.
closing the position again, which
Yeah.
is going back to what I was saying. So if white manages to close like this, he's probably quite happy.
Yeah.
So not bishop d7,
No. So what is it gonna be? Was it?
bishop e6 probably. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have to calculate this knight c7 line.
Okay, so let's have a look. Knight c7.
Okay, so knight. You just can't play knight d4, I think. Or you can and just equalize and play knight takes e6.
Okay, but do you think?
Oh wait, is this? Oh yeah, okay, knight
so
d4
what were
actually
we
is
looking
interesting.
at? So knight d4.
So if he takes the rook, as an example, knight c2, king f2, take the
knight
rook,
takes.
and probably swap, rook takes,
Mm-hmm.
and bishop c4, something like that. And okay, black is happy. I mean, black's probably not going to lose this.
Mm-hmm. Just probably black is even the one who's slightly in control.
It's just
here.
if you can swap one bishop off, then.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I mean, rook and bishop against rook and knight. Black is clear favorite. And okay, yeah,
Rook d8.
rook d8 now as well. It's just terrible.
Okay. Yeah. And there's just some tactical issues.
Yeah,
here.
yeah. So this is not good.
So where do we go back to? Let's go back.
So I think you don't take the rook on a8. You just take on e6. Knight takes d4, knight takes e6. And yeah, I'm wondering if you could even try some dynamic stuff with f takes e6 and bishop
Mhm.
h6, but I don't think it's worth doing it in this position.
With the bishop coming here.
Yeah. But okay, the idea is that you've got one threat, and if you've got time to do other threats as well, it's interesting. But
Okay,
like
white
rook
needs
c1,
to
bishop
deal
h6.
with. Okay, but even this I quite like for black.
Yeah. I think black's better in both, but I think from a practical point of view, if you're playing board one with black pieces and
Yeah.
you just definitely don't want to lose, I think knight takes e6 makes the most sense.
Okay, let's come back to this one in a little bit. So the position on the board is still after bishop g7, and white is thinking, as you said, Maxime, quite an active player, probably not too happy to find himself.
But he's also very, very, very
tricky.
in tactics is so he'll find the.
Oh, he has just played knight b6
Okay.
actually. Okay, knight b6. I guess
Yeah.
rook d8
Yeah, I mean.
looks
Yeah.
natural, unless there's a.
Yeah, it just looks very comfortable for black.
Or is there
Is there
something
something
wrong
wrong?
that I immediately?
Okay, e4 d5 is a threat, I guess.
Okay.
Start with d5.
Yeah.
Start
Or
with
start with
d5.
d5,
Yeah. Okay, rook d8 is not an option in that case.
You take on d4. Is that some kind of sacrifice?
So if we take on d4, I'm not sure I can even take, but let's see. and then you
I don't know
take-
if you take on e3. I think everything's quite dangerous for white. It just okay. Even rook takes a8 just for argument's sake. I think even this is. I mean, you don't need to do this for black. That's for sure.
But what will you do if I take on e3?
Let's see four.
Do I have
okay,
to
now,
take?
now
Do I
take
have to
a8.
take the knight, or can I? I don't know.
You
Knight.
can threaten stuff from that d4. Interesting.
That's probably too much. Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, let's say I just take this.
Yeah, it's very difficult to play
Because now the material.
because you've got one pawn, and if knight takes e3,
Yeah.
then bishop takes b2.
Yeah,
bishop
I
c3,
don't think
check.
you can probably afford to open up
Yeah.
this bishop even more.
No, I think this is. And objectively, it's probably okay, but it's very hard to play for white.
For it, yeah. Okay, let's come back to this one in a little bit. Let's go to a game. I wanted to have a look at one game. Let's see.
David's one. That's good.
So David
Alright.
Eggleston is a teammate of both Ezra and I. The three of us are teammates in England. I wanted to have a look at the game of Jesper Thibault and Johannes Haug, but it's
Refreshing
already,
in game.
yeah, I looked at it in the playing hall much earlier. I went to the playing hall at this moment, and I was wondering if it was just winning on the spot, but I think the end game he
Looks
got.
nice.
Yeah, I thought it might just this is where I saw it after Queen D8, and I was wondering if it was just winning on the spot, but I think Black found the only defense, and this rook ending, it's probably the best White could get.
Okay.
So it's not that exciting. I think when time trouble is coming up, there's probably more exciting.
These can get quite exciting, but well.
What's
my
your?
opinion.
I mean, also this pawn, the e pawn, looks
Yeah.
quite dangerous, and the king is stuck.
So the first idea is something like e6. Then if rook takes h4, you're threatening rook a8, king h7, and e7. That's the basic kind of.
And there's no stopping this.
But so
after e6,
yeah.
I mean, it
So
might
king
just
f8
be.
is probably the only reasonable move, and you can play stuff like rook f7 check here, because if king e8, rook g7, but here you play king g8, and you can't play. But you can sometimes cut off the king here, like rook f4 is probably quite good. Rook h1 to come back. Yeah, maybe there's not enough here. How do you make a better version of that?
But even this, I mean, what if I just bring the king up?
Yeah, I think it looks very good.
It just feels like with a pawn on e6 and with that king stuck, cut off.
you're
Like
right.
this must just be game over, surely. I expect white to go e6, and maybe this just
Yeah,
fairly
and these rook
strict.
f7 moves are always really annoying because
Yeah.
you force the opponent to go to one side or another.
Because if after king f8, is there any hope
Just
here?
f4 and the pawns in the middle like
pawns
this are just too strong. so-
Yeah. Okay, so that is that. Let's try and find a game with more pieces on the board.
Yeah.
Also, if someone in the audience, if there's a game. Let's go back actually now. Let's go back to Pranav
Oh yeah,
against
this one was.
a
Did he
wonder.
find knight c5? Oh,
He
did, yeah.
found knight
Nice.
c5, yeah, and then quite a bit has happened here actually. So we were, Jonathan and I were looking at this a couple of hours ago, and we thought that maybe b takes c4 was just a straight up blunder, because we thought maybe a Wonder Liang looked at knight b6 and found something there,
Yeah.
but maybe overlooked knight c5.
Yeah, knight c5 is just. If you don't know it's coming, it's very hard to spot. I
Yeah.
mean, from the audience, you see the computer bar go up, so you're looking for something, but over the board it's very difficult. So I think it's very well played by the young player, White.
And then the question is, I wonder if he missed something. I actually, while I was on my break, I looked at it with the engine, and I think
No
it
fun.
was no, it's no fun indeed. I think was it here that actually I shouldn't say that I looked at it with the engine because I'm probably gonna end up not remembering what I looked at. But so far this all looks. I mean, White.
Just a little trick to show, I think, if because you can wonder why he can't take on a4, but Queen d5 is the idea, and that happens in loads of different kinds of
Mhm.
positions, so it's a good one to know. Okay, so 94, 64.
So what's the white is an exchange up, just a clear exchange. Now he takes on
Yeah.
e4.
But these can be very difficult. I mean, the two knights in the middle are very, very tricky, so that's why you take one off.
And now, what is this? Does black have compensation here?
Yeah, black definitely has. I mean, because you've got control of the whole center. This knight on a4 is going to take a few moves to come back in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Instinctively, I wouldn't say it's enough compensation, but
There were a couple
It's
of
at least
more
very
moves.
interesting.
Rook e8, b3, queen d6, and rook e2.
okay, now the knight on a4 is completely dominated. This is. And I prefer this now to 3-4 moves ago.
The question, well, the question is what's white gonna do, but also how is black gonna
Yeah, you can
continue from
bishop
here?
e5, g3, h5, stuff like this.
So, can we even do that immediately?
I think so.
So g3.
So if you play h3, you're giving holes away, like knight g3
he
and
just
stuff.
played a rook e7 actually.
Yeah, so this.
But I guess black has time
Yeah.
because there's not really anything active.
Because maybe he
White
didn't
can
want to
do-
let the rook to go to f7 after bishop e5.
Mhm. So what do we do with this knight here?
So the knight in a dream world belongs to d3. So you want to put the knight on d3.
Okay, so let's start.
Yeah, so knight b2 is a logical move. So black has to be rather quick. In
Okay, so what if we try this bishop
Yeah,
e5?
bishop e5, asking a question. So you don't really want to play a move like h3. Because it looks like you're just making loads of holes.
Do you want to play g3?
You don't want to play g3 either.
No,
but yeah,
because the knight might.
yeah, it looks like the lesser evil though.
Mhm.
So g3,
So
h5.
what
probably.
is wrong with this? It's just.
Knight
Well, I mean,
G3
there's
is,
knight
yeah.
g3 immediately. That answers my question.
But that's why he plays. I mean, it's a good point. That's why he plays rook e7
Mhm.
first. Yeah.
To stop the check
Yeah.
on f7. So the lesser of the two evils, g3.
Yeah, h5 looks pretty normal.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's just this thing of black quickly
Yeah.
needs to play something.
Does
But
my
I mean,
queen
as
have
time
a
goes
good
down, this is really not a comfortable thing to play with either
With-
pieces actually. But anything can happen.
Which color would you take in the position on the board?
I quite like material, so I'd probably take white.
Mm.
But I think objectively, it's probably actually harder to play with a. I mean, from a practical point of view, it's probably harder to play with white.
Once again, time will probably be a factor. Time to play with the white pieces going down towards 10 minutes,
Yeah.
which also thinks I mean. Actually, I'm wondering if we can go out without a break, go on without a break, or just a short break, because I had a break before, because today we have a lot of action. Let me see if if Maxime
Board two, something's happening.
has something. Okay, let's go to board 2. So Nabati, we left it off here where he had just won a pawn, and Jonathan was pointing out that despite being down at pawn, black might just be solid or have
Yeah.
enough to hold this position, especially on these light squares. G6 is not a move I don't think we had considered. I'm never sure if it's the sort of move
Yeah.
I would want to make.
I don't know. If you could just control all of the white squares, then you're happy, basically.
Mhm. Okay, let's see how white played this. So white is swinging the rooks over to the f-file. It's probably going to double there, I
Okay,
guess.
so just keeping an eye on f7.
Queen g4.
Okay.
Why did the
So you have
engine bar
s-
just jump? Are there ever any tactics with with e6?
Yeah, e6 is the move you have to start with. to
Okay,
look
let's
at.
have a look, because white didn't play e6, but let's have a look at it.
So if rook e6, for example. Queen h6. But even stuff like.
F.
In worst case, you can.
Does anything dramatic happen if I go f5?
No, probably not. That looks.
Maybe something dramatic
Maybe
is.
Something dramatic might happen. Rook takes f5.
Ah.
Yeah, that looks like bad news.
Yep. Because simply I can't make errors.
But yeah, pawn takes and queen takes rook e6.
Yep. So that is the end. So I can't go f5. So can I go
f6.
f6?
And if you take everything off, I've got a check on d1.
Mm-hmm.
Something dramatic seems to happen again.
Or maybe not.
That's computers.
I always, when the bar
going through the
plays
motions, yeah.
jokes on us. Okay, so this. Maybe black is just. At least he's not getting mated, but
Yeah,
I guess white.
but I'm sure he's yeah, e6 isn't as bad. You can even take on e6 with the queen. The queen h6 is probably more annoying now, actually.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but let's get to the current position. Let's see what happened in the game. So white did not go e6. I guess e6 is also a move. I was gonna say that doesn't run away, but black can just put something on e6.
Yeah, I think rook e6 is a move you do want to
Yeah.
play. Yeah, so
Just to stop that
Yeah, just
option.
keep that bishop on d4 contained.
Yeah. Queen here, rook f4. I mean, you even need to be a bit careful
Okay, so there are going to be lots of little tricks here.
with you. Yeah. I mean, I would be very worried, I have to say, if I was black.
Yes.
But maybe there is nothing. And what now? Why did the bar jump? Did black miss any?
I don't know. I'm not going to trust the bar anymore.
The thing is the bar, but this evaluation here is usually to be trusted.
Yeah.
So I wonder if black missed any roughly equalizing shot.
F5.
F5.
Yeah, I think this is the game, yeah. f5.
Ah, F5 is the game. Yeah.
And the-
Let's just go back 1 second. Can I go F6?
Yeah. Yeah, why
What
not?
happens if I go F6?
Is there some... okay, maybe.
Mm,
Yeah, it doesn't look like the move you'd want to play.
no. No. No, that's not it. I mean, it's really hard to believe that they would. Do I have a. Are there any tactics ever with taking on d4? I mean, I want to bring. Oh, bishop b6 immediately.
You've still got one.
I know at the moment,
Yeah.
no, it doesn't know.
But maybe white's just not threatening much. I mean, maybe it's
Okay, I'm just
relatively
gonna
solid,
cheat
yeah.
because I'm getting frustrated. Bishop c7.
Yeah, just attention.
Just and actually white. No.
Nah, I just this computer's a. Yeah, you can't.
But no,
you can't
but
look
it
at
looks like it's just gonna take the pawn immediately somehow.
Yeah, yeah, it does feel like you.
Because
like you let it
so
slip a
how-
little bit.
How do we defend? Let's say rook e1, for argument's sake. Then we have f6, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I play rook e1, I can play f6 probably. And if I don't play rook e1, I mean maybe black was actually just winning back the pawn by force here.
Rook g5, but you don't really want to put your rook on g5.
Hmm. Okay. Anyway, black did go f5 and queen f4,
Okay.
and that is the position on the board.
Yeah, so I think it's just now white's got pass pawn on e5, so long term it might just be a big advantage.
And there is also now all the time in the world, I don't think, like it looks like now that the queen is cut off, it's not going to be so easy putting pressure maybe
Yeah, you're
on
also
e5.
threatening queen f5 here, so bishop c7, queen f5 is the immediate idea. f5.
Oh, sorry. Yep. Okay, so that
So
is
that's
the
main
threat.
issue.
What about bishop h4?
So bishop h, yeah, that's a good question. What are we missing?
Queen A2 probably.
Queen.
Yeah, it's nice. I
Wait,
think
what?
it seems like Queen A2. No?
Queen. Queen A2. I didn't even see that far.
Yes.
Down the board.
It's a weird geometry.
I thought you said Queen E2, and I was like, no, the Queen is
No,
hanging there.
that would've
That's
been
probably
special.
not what he said. Okay, so Queen A2
Yeah,
hitting
and this
the
starts
board.
to look quite uncomfortable. If you have to play a move like King F7 here, it's
It's not something you want to.
like Rook H3, and maybe it doesn't win straight away, but just
Yeah,
positionally,
yeah.
it's very, very difficult.
Okay, so black.
So looking good for
Yeah.
for the button.
Okay, I think
Yeah.
we are going to take a quick break now. Thank you very much, Ezra, for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
You're leaving tomorrow, so have a safe trip back. Enjoy
Thank
your
you.
last night in
Cheers.
Stockholm.
Thanks.
And we'll be back with Jonathan in about 5 to 10 minutes. And we're back here with more action from round 6. It's really heating up now. As you can see on your screens, the time is ticking down, and we've gone to the game between Lauren da Costa and Tiger Hilar Persson. We looked at it a bit earlier, actually not so long ago, because they have been playing the opening very slowly. This is where we left it off, and maybe we can just click through the moves and see how we got to where we are now.
Tiger, he went for this. He took the bishop pair, and then I suspected that he will try to slow play the position and slowly improve his position. And White probably had to do something more active than this, because I guess that Black is even better in this position, because it's very difficult to get to the Black king, even though he lost his right to castle, but the structure is very hard to break without any pawns. Like you have to be able to play f4 and open everything up, but it's simply not possible here. So the king is even safe on f7.
Once again, I mean, Tiger has just demonstrated, you know, he really, as you said earlier, first of all, he really loves chess, but he also, I think, has quite a good feel for these sort of positions. Slightly offbeat, but it always looks to me when I watch his games that he has a good feeling for where the pieces should go and where, you know.
Yeah, he has a feeling for how to get into those positions where he forces his opponent to do something special, because these positions can be, it's different. It's dangerous for White to enter these kind of positions, in the sense that White is the one who needs to compensate. So he takes the bishop pair, is slightly passive, but he will slowly improve the position.
Actually, one of the most frustrating games in my life was against Tiger. I had the white pieces, and Tiger did not cross the 6th rank for 23 moves. And I had completed my development by move 10 or so, and Tiger was just shuffling around his pieces forever. And I was thinking, okay, like at some point I think I lost my cool and I started playing king h1, king g1 because I got so frustrated. But yeah, of course, he outplayed me in the end, but it was a very interesting experience.
Like the good thing about not crossing the 6th rank is that you don't make so many weaknesses in your own position, which means that if you're gonna have some, if the opponent wants you to have weaknesses, he is forced to attack you.
And it's, I mean, that's why I didn't want to know. I had all my pieces, let's say, on the 3rd and 4th rank, but I was really worried about crossing onto the 5th, because I knew as soon as I give him some squares, I give him something. So I was trying to be solid, but unsuccessfully in the end. So rook d2 was played now.
The problem for White, I would say, is that actually there are more than one problem, but this knight on f3 simply doesn't belong in this position. It would only be good at c4 or something, but it's impossible to bring it to a good square now. And also the situation in the center is quite favorable for Black, because Black is the one who's sitting with the sitting with the breaks. Because White doesn't have any break right now. It would only be if it's possible to play c4, c5 or f4, but even if it would be prepared properly, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But if Black can play like at some point play f5 and e4 or f4, he can just sit and wait and wait for the right moment. So
well, he actually played h5, which also makes a lot of sense, because you're threatening to bring the bishop to h6.
Yes. So the bishop pair is quite strong in this position now, and the bishop on h6 cannot be opposed.
Knight h2. So I guess
it was probably forced, but
so bishop h6, you're going to meet with.
Yes. How is he gonna meet bishop h6? Because if I play f4, you can.
Surely f4 cannot be a move. I can just take, no?
You can take.
I mean, I'm gonna take and bring the. Ah no, e8 is covered. Sorry.
Yes, e8 is covered, but Actually, this is. I mean, I can even play like bishop f5 or something. And I mean, this is really dangerous for white because I'm even threatening a move like h4, for example.
Yeah, this just looks disgusting.
But I think bishop h6 is strong. But he didn't play bishop h6.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he didn't play it.
Because I would like to, because it's, I mean, you play f4, but it's impossible to get out of this pin because both the queen and the rook is on the diagonal. So.
Instead, he played bishop d7.
Yes.
We need to go back. Yeah.
Now bishop d7. Okay, so now this threat is still to play bishop h6.
And now
let's say but if you take, you have to take with the queen. But the problem is also that the pawn on a4 is hanging now. So and bishop h6 is a threat. Instead, he went for a queen e2, getting out of this on the diagonal. But so more moves here.
Yeah.
Maybe
so
we should
e4.
catch up.
Well,
e4.
there's just a couple of more moves. So e4, knight f1,
f5, c3, takes. But I have a feeling that black could have gotten more from the previous position.
Bishop h6 really
It looked
more promising.
Because black have of course made some progress, but he is taking some space and open diagonal for the bishop. But this was probably I mean, impossible to stop anyway, I would guess.
But time is probably going to be not a decisive factor, but white is down to 2 minutes only. He still has to make 16 moves.
But maybe your moves are more or less forced with white here. I mean, you have to go knight e3 here, I guess. You have to try to get active somehow and bring the knight to c4 or something.
Yeah. Okay, let's come back to this one shortly. Let's go back to the main clash of the day, which is on board 1 between the two leaders, Lagarde and Gopal, and a lot has happened. Let's just very briefly go back to where we left it off after e takes d4. So actually, we didn't see that. We were wondering what black was gonna do, but he did take.
But if you move the rook, white will close the position with d4 and e4. So he takes d4. I was briefly wondering about e4 in this position, but okay. He took an e3, and you and Esther were looking at this position a little bit. Knight c4 takes. You have to move the rook before. If you cannot really capture here, I guess.
Yeah, we were saying that giving this bishop the diagonal open completely.
Yes, it depends a little bit how dangerous this pawn is, because maybe you can, if you think you're worse here with white, maybe you can try to take anyway and like give away a couple of pawns. But 51, e8. So basically black has one pawn for the exchange, but this pawn on e3 is extremely annoying.
Yeah.
The bishop pair is very strong also, so knight d6.
And as Ezra was saying, he knows Maxime very well. He said usually Maxime is a player who likes to have the initiative, so I wouldn't be surprised if he would have preferred to have the black pieces in this position.
But I always have a feeling when I see this type of games that both players will calculate something and it will
fizzle out.
Yeah, and it will be even in the end.
Well, let's see, because also here I see that Maxime is down to under 2 minutes, so let's catch up with the position on the board.
So you got rid of one of the bishops,
which can't be bad, surely.
But this pawn can protect e3 now.
So trying to undermine this, and black took.
And White is thinking, and he has how much time? Has
1.5 minutes.
And 12 moves to make.
I mean, it looks very unpleasant now, because also I guess there's no way to really win the pawn.
Yeah, maybe you can win it with f4. But if f4, maybe bishop h6 is quite strong. Because a g3 is not such a good move. If I cannot accept both the g3 and e3. I would be looking for some ways to make this game finish with White in a draw here, but
there might just not be a way.
It's still a lot of play. Actually, there are many problems for White, because these pawns on the queen side are also quite weak, like bishop b2 at some point. I don't even know what he's gonna play now. Rook d5. But this pawn on h5, it's not so important.
Doesn't matter so much.
I mean, it's almost now you're almost starting to look for a forced win with black somehow.
Okay, which piece do we want to? How do we try and infiltrate?
You can also.
Can I play a move like bishop e5?
Yeah, bishop e5, and the threat is to play g2.
And then
check. Or maybe, but also just to like defend the pawn. Or
I mean, White doesn't really have any active plan now. What is he gonna do? Can he play something like b5?
He can play b5, but I guess we take. And also knight d4 is coming.
Yeah,
so
that's true. Yeah, it just looks very unpleasant actually.
I don't. He didn't. It's not.
He didn't play yet. But the thing is, so after bishop e5, I suggested b5 because I was struggling to find a move.
But there are also. I mean, you can also consider a move like knight d4, because if you. I mean, you can take on h5, but now this looks. I can give it.
I mean, even now, can I play bishop e5 now and just try and trap your rook?
Yes. Can even try to play f5. But okay, yeah, bishop e5. Actually, I think all positions are good for black. And White is also down. I think this is very, very dangerous for Maxime now.
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe we should stick with this game because they are the two leaders on 4.5 out of 5, and time will take that. Let's try and.
But I like bishop e5. It's more. It's a quite controlled way of playing the position now. Just defending everything.
What do you think? What is your prediction? Do you think black is going to win this game?
I think black is going to win. Actually, it's not. Maybe it's not that bad for White objectively, but it's. Black has already 2 pawns for the exchange.
Yeah.
There are the white king is vulnerable, and
he did play bishop e5.
I mean, he has 2 pawns on the 3rd rank now.
And also, I mean, it's very.
It's only black that can create threats actually.
Yeah. By the way, some good news for the Swedish fans. Erik Blomqvist did recover from his queen blunder, and he won his game today against Savatsky.
I think it was it 15 years ago since a Swedish player won Rilton Cup.
I don't know, but yeah, I think I heard something like this last year. And I think there's some sort of curse, because I remember Niels Grandelius telling me that every time he plays here, he does terribly.
Yeah.
I think I came here last year for the last couple of rounds. He lost his last round game, and then I asked him a couple of months ago will you play? And he was like, no. No.
I think in general Swedish players don't like to play in Sweden so much.
How come?
I don't know. It's Swedish players are doing quite well in like tournaments in Spain and so on. So maybe Sweden is too related to the normal life. We play better when we are relaxed.
Also, maybe, I mean, it has, I think a lot of players actually say, you know, I think there are some countries, if you're out to win rating, there are some countries that are simply more, I think players, in my experience in the Nordic countries, are often very underrated as well. But meanwhile, let's just keep an eye on what's happened. So after bishop e5, white played f4, bishop takes f4 and castles at long last. And bishop goes back to e5. So black now has 3 pawns, but at least white has managed to unravel a little bit. He's played rook fd1, but still, this doesn't look great.
He's hoping that he has some kind of blockade, actually. I mean, that's he wants to take maybe the pawn on h5, but he needs to control all entries. Like rook d1, it was kind of a move to stop knight d4 from happening. But black can, if it's white's turn, he will probably just take here.
Yeah.
Does he have,
What happens if I play a move like bishop f, like on, I guess it's not a move you want to make. I was thinking of bishop f6 just to eliminate the white h-pawn as well.
Yeah. But
the bishop is so well placed on e5.
I don't care so much about the pawn h5. I was thinking a little bit about rook e6. Let's say that you take, and I want to go rook f6. And I want to come to f2 or something now.
But what if I go rook h6 instead of rook f? Because
rook
if I
h6
take the h-pawn with the rook, I'm a lot happier than if I take it with the bishop.
That's even stronger. And you have to go back and then I take on h4. So rook e6 is quite annoying because you're also, I mean, you're ready to play rook f6. White doesn't really have, because the rooks probably needs to stand on the d file now. For example, rook d7 is probably not threatening anything because you can just play rook f6, and if you take, you're probably just losing after knight d4. So white's rooks are quite passive now. They have to, I mean, they have to control this d4 square.
Black didn't.
So it's the rook that needs to be activated for black.
Black played another sort of waiting move. Let's say he played king g7.
And that's the problem for white, that black can also, he can try to play something immediately, but he can also slow play the position. And
rook
this
d3 hitting e3.
But actually it's not.
It's not a threat because of
bishop d4.
but then,
black gets some pawns. Let's say I play just a waiting move, and if you take, I have bishop d4. This endgame should be quite
straightforward.
Quite a win. So I mean, it's just a waiting move. But if you, I mean, white also needs to make this move king g2. After king g2 is threatening the pawn again.
I have to say I preferred your move of rook e6 rather than king g7. It just looked more active and more forcing in a way.
Because the next move is probably rook f6 and then rook f2, and then after rook f2 it's white needs to keep this eve pawn under control. If we cannot really allow the pawn, and then we also, if we can get rook on the second rank, the white rook from d1, for example, cannot stand on d1 anymore, and then the knight can come to d4. So I like, but he played it different. He played f5 now, so he's trying to even
just storm the pawns up the board.
This
So I
looks
guess-
really bad for white.
So let's say I take on h5.
Can take on h5. Yes. But can I play e2? I can play e2 now, right? And after bishop takes e2, I have bishop.
Check.
But how's this?
Yeah.
And you have to take,
Yeah.
and I take, and this. But maybe do I have to take here? Actually, this rook endgame should be lost. But
But it feels like there must be something maybe easier.
what I the only drawback with f5, maybe you should take on h5, but actually I wanted to keep the rook with black. So I don't know if
potentially go on to the f file, you mean?
yeah, I don't know if white can try to save the game with maybe rook d7. He took on h5, but I mean, because if you can exchange the rooks, maybe you can later sacrifice the bishop or something on e2, and you might get some counterplay. So I would like to exchange one rook with white here, but he took on h5. Let's say now if black goes f4, I will definitely play rook d7, and maybe I can. I mean, I need to keep some blockade here, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's not even possible.
Let's go back and see if we can find something stronger than f4.
Yeah, it's e2. But,
I mean, what if I even play a move like king f6 to stop?
yeah.
Oh no, I'm not stopping rook d7. Because I can't go to e8. Okay.
You can.
King h6 maybe, but even then I'm not sure where I'm going after.
But you can play. You can play king f6 if you want.
And after rook d7.
But after rook d7.
By the way, both players are now playing
Yeah,
on
they're
increments.
only playing on seconds now.
Yeah.
So
And they still have 6 moves to make, which is quite a few moves. And what did he play?
played e2. But I don't know if. But maybe this is forcing this. It's forcing this rook endgame.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure about this rook endgame.
So
I mean,
let's
bishop
see.
d4, and he needs to take it. Then you take. Maybe you can move the bishop also, but I mean, black has an extra pawn. Maybe you can.
But
Now, what happens
can we
if
have another
bishop
look
f1?
at, but are you sure that the rook ending is winning? I mean, okay, it's a stupid question because of course you probably can't be sure,
But you have this knight. But I like bishop f1 because I'm threatening the knight and the pawn on g3. The dangerous thing in the rook endgame is that black gets this connected to pawns on. Like if you take, you can check me if you want to, but I mean, these pawns are enough to win the game. But what do black do after bishop f1? Because if I get the pawn on g3, it's equal material.
But actually, wait, we just missed that g3 is hanging.
Yeah, just.
Oh, what did we miss?
It took on g3. But now it's. I mean, white did escape.
Yeah.
Maybe this is still. Now you're forced to move the bishop, of course. So like bishop f1. But
I mean, it's something we discussed when Ezra was here. Maxime has escaped quite a few games before, even in like I think just 2 days ago he was also under time pressure and he was very close to being lost as well.
Well, this e2 move was
Yeah.
actually a serious,
Yeah.
serious mistake, because black can still is still clearly better, whatever he does. Okay, he was quite short on time. Bishop
And
f1.
bishop F1,
I
yeah.
mean, black can of course like force the draw now with now knight e2 check.
I mean,
and
I'm not
but-
sure if black is even still better here.
Oh, he must play with f4 or something in order to have some. f4 looks quite natural.
Okay, so f4, rook.
Rook somewhere.
And
Where you go?
I was looking at either rook d3 or rook g8.
Rook d3. Yeah. Maybe you can try to play king e5.
Yeah, maybe I should go to g8. Maybe am I more active there, or am I running into
Yeah,
some?
maybe I can. I mean, this. I don't know if I can win a pawn.
You're just gonna take that, yeah. Yeah. Okay, then let's go.
I mean, this is still a little bit annoying for white, but it shouldn't be too hard to make a draw here. And he's also on move. He has only 2 moves left till the time control. And he will not spoil the position in 2 moves, which means that he will have time to find the draw later.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
But f4 looks like the move here.
yeah, it's probably the only move if you want to still play or something, I guess. Meanwhile, Tiger has just won his game as we speak. Let's see. So rook h7. Sorry, let's just maybe we can stay with it until move 40 just to see
Rook
what
h7.
happens.
So he tries to win this pawn now.
And rook h3.
It's been played, yeah, rook h3.
But now
You can take on h4 actually.
yeah, I was just wondering that.
But it's probably quite easy to draw.
Let's
Because
have a look.
we can take, give a check. Now you do something here. You go b5 maybe.
And if I go a5,
I go b6 and bishop a6.
very nice.
So
I even have to be very careful.
yeah,
not
now you have
miss,
to be
yeah?
careful with black. So, but if you exchange this pawn, it should be quite easy, easy draw.
I guess white is probably maybe even in time to go a4, a5.
Yeah. But you can also.
Okay, so he has taken. Actually, we are going down this this route.
But this should be quite straightforward draw, I
Yeah.
guess. King f2, knight takes h4. I don't know what is the most precise way here.
Okay, so I think the players are probably going to take some time now, but what we can say is probably a mischance, a big mischance for Gopal, but once again also resilient defense by Lagarde. Let's maybe see how Tiger's game concluded. A lot of games have finished actually.
He exchanged his bishop for this knight.
I mean, this is another game where I think Lauren, I think things went wrong in a few moves, but where Tiger could have been, punished in a way if he didn't win for not handling his very advantageous position so accurately, maybe.
But both players were in time trouble here.
Very serious time trouble, yes.
So.
And here comes.
Rook takes h5.
Okay, and the probably simply.
The idea is, of course, that if you take, black will get back the rook on h1 and have an extra pawn. That's why white tried to take on h5 in order to capture this rook,
Mm.
but it simply
Yeah, the
didn't
king.
work
The
after
king
queen
is
f6.
very
Because
weak. Yeah.
now there is a mate on a1 and the rook is hanging on h5. After king g8, everything is falling. The rook cannot be protected and cannot take on d5 because there is a mate. You can play queen d1, but then rook c1. Otherwise, there's a mate on c1.
So I tried queen a2.
But queen a2, and then I took the rook. And this.
And just the king is too weak.
Yeah, the rook
The
cannot.
rook doesn't have any squares.
There's a mate on d1.
Queen d2. And there's no stopping rook c2.
So yeah, he resigned her.
Yeah.
But I think it was quite a good game of Tiger
Tiger,
actually,
yeah.
because you can only like criticize his choice of opening, but actually I think he is quite happy with the whole game.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's have a look at the results on the top
Yeah.
10 boards. So we had draws on board 3 and 4. Then
Yeah.
Gajewski, I checked his game. He won very quickly and I think convincingly. Let's maybe see how Pranav against Liang completed.
Yeah, so Liang did the flip around this
Yeah.
game because it looked like he was in some serious trouble. But you looked at this position before, where it seems like Black has enough compensation maybe for the exchange. It's quite.
Yeah, I think we were saying, especially in a practical game with, again, quite low time, it's very difficult probably to play for that.
The problem is also that White probably doesn't have a bailout. He cannot exchange back the exchange and make a draw because this c3 square is also very vulnerable. Bishop e5. Yes, you mentioned this move, and now it's.
Yeah, we were
He-
saying that
he is-
G3 was the lesser of the two evils out of
Yeah.
G3 and H3, but still you are creating more holes.
But now he could
Oh.
take because the rook on e1 is on pre now after queen takes g3, so you must the queen and king f1, and d3 is nice deflection maybe, and you have this square on c7 covered,
Very nice, actually.
and even d2. Yeah, so if you take the queen,
It's the knight ending is just
Yeah.
gonna be winning here.
yes. But he had to take anyway.
Yeah.
Knight e4 check. Yeah, it's two extra pawns,
Yeah.
and the white knight cannot really do much. Yes,
There's probably
it's
we can
quite straightforward win.
Yeah. Okay, so another nice turnaround by a Wonder Liang, who is
On 5 points.
on 5 points together with Gajewski, and that is it. So let's go now to board 2. We haven't seen Nabat against Volkov in a while, so that's where we left it off. Queen a2.
a4. So white needs to open up the position a little bit more. Black is holding on with some kind of fortress. Because the white is still a pawn up also, so it takes bishop.
But now we managed to create another weakness, I guess, on a6.
And the queen wants to enter somehow, so come to d7 or something. And this queen on h5 is out of play actually.
Completely, yeah. Rook e8, the only move.
Rook d3. So now he's threatening to take on d8 also. Bishop c.
And bishop d6. It feels like white is making progress very steadily, actually.
Yes, this. I think from when white won the pawn, black had some control, but now it's
gone.
Yeah, it's gone wrong.
Yeah.
King h1. And now he just goes c4, so he wants to. If he can play c5, it's probably game over.
So queen e4.
And I cannot see how black stops c5. Bishop e3. c5, so they have made a time control already. And white is.
I mean, also black is just completely stuck with this pinned rook that doesn't have a move, so you can't ever move either of the two rooks. Like, basically white has achieved pretty much
You.
the most he could.
His.
Okay, what happens if I try to defend with queen c6? Try and hold on to that pawn.
C6.
Because I guess if you let me, maybe, so in this position, if it was my move, could I even go something like bishop c7 and try to put the rook on d6? Something
Yeah.
like that.
And or also you can also just take on a4 and. I mean, basically this bishop and the bishop on d6 is like controlling both of black's rooks. I guess white is like did he play queen c6? But white is like playing on all of the board right now, but because he's also looking at the black king sometimes.
Yeah.
The question is just you have to make.
Actually, I didn't even see that this pawn was hanging, so black took on b4.
Yep.
But the all-knowing engine has jumped once
Yeah,
again.
c6 is probably winning now. Actually, you can play maybe queen b3.
I was also wondering about rook b1.
Rook b1. In order to play rook b8, maybe.
Yeah. Wonder what's wrong with that. Queen d2 maybe, yeah? I mean, the engine is really not happy.
I don't trust the engine anymore.
But he played your move c6.
Yeah, because of the c6, if you play queen b3, I just exchange and play rook d3. And you cannot attack e5 right now. So if you can play like f4, but then I take on b3, and I will play c7, and I will play rook b8, and you cannot stop me from queening actually. So that's why c6 is quite dangerous, I would say.
Okay, so it looks like white is on his way to winning this game.
And I don't even know how to stop like c7, and after c7 you may already be threatening to queen, and
yeah.
Nabate will win this game for sure.
On board 1, we'll go back there in a minute. They are heading towards a draw. Let's go to the last game that is still going on in the top 10. It's board 10, sorry. Jana against Kulauts, which we haven't seen at all, and it's a rook ending.
Yeah, but it's only white that can win this game actually, with this passer on the a file.
So black can take a pawn now if he wants to, but
then we go rook a4.
Rook a d7.
Can go a6. Oh no, we don't go a6 actually. Maybe we take the pawn.
Oh yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
because otherwise we cannot enter
Yeah.
with the king.
Yeah, let's take on f4.
Let's take. Now we can. If you go rook a7 and take on f5 maybe. What happened? Rook a6. Okay. So rook c4. He played rook a6 immediately. Yes. But you can can you play d6? If I go d6. D6.
Let's have a look. So d6 we
Because
get
it-
to the same position,
Yeah,
yeah?
because it's the same.
After rook takes, we'll
it's
take on
basically
f4.
the same position. But you can defend f5 with rook f6 actually. And if I play rook a4, then I have to go rook a6. But maybe after d6, maybe I go with the king actually. It's just f7 or something.
And after rook c5?
c5.
Yeah.
Go king a6.
And yeah, if I play d7, I'm not in time to do anything.
You can give check also. So you can play like this. And I cannot take d6 because I have rook g6. But
Can
or
I
can
take on a5?
yeah. But like maybe I can play king f6 also. But maybe white we can take the pawn also, or we go rook a4. But
Okay,
I
let's
don't-
have a look
I
what
don't
happens
believe in
if
rook
we
if-
take the pawn.
yeah, we take. Black is forced to take.
And we take on a5.
White's maybe it's winning chances because the king
Yeah,
is
so
cut
cut-
off.
Yeah. Can I go g6?
Yes.
Probably I have to go g6, the only active plan, I guess.
But this looks dangerous for black.
Yeah, but I mean, if I just wait,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have any other active. If I don't go g6, I guess I don't really have a move.
No,
Because you were just going to bring the king.
It's in black's interest to exchange pawns, of
Mm.
course. But when because now we have white have two passed pawns in this position, so it looks dangerous for me. But I'm not sure. Some of these rook end games are drawn anyway.
Mhm.
But it's I mean it's for me it looks like serious winning chances.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, let's see what is still going on boards 11 to 20, or what the results were there. So we saw the Costa against Hilar Persson.
Yeah.
We saw actually. I thought that Jesper Thibault would already have won by now, but let's see. So that was another rook ending. This is where we
Yeah.
left it off. Let's just get to the current position, maybe.
But why did he play king d4? I thought king d2 was just winning here by force.
Uh-huh.
If I'm not missing.
And there is no stopping.
how I don't know how you stop e7.
Yeah. If I give a check.
And then I go to d3.
Mm-hmm.
Aha, you can take on
And
a2.
then I take and I
you
go
can
back
take.
to a8.
Mhm. Okay, so that's why. That's why you had to play king d4 instead.
But it looks like with that pawn on e6 and that king.
Yeah.
That
Ah, white is thinking here, but you can do. You
pretty
can
much anything. I
you can
guess.
play rook g6, for example,
Yeah.
threatening mate on h6. So you're forcing king h7, and then you can go rook f6. You can go rook f6, but you can. I mean, you can even take the pawn on b6, and then go to f6, and then I queen whenever I want to.
Mm. By the way, game 1, board 1 has finished in the draw. Let's just see how the players got there. Not much happened after we left it. As you predicted, was fairly straightforward draw.
Played.
He actually went that way, but with the same idea of eliminating the pawns there, b5. And simply the pawn is going to drop on f5.
Yeah. But that was a missed
A big
opportunity.
missed opportunity, yeah. Especially with the black pieces on the top board when there's only 2 leaders. I mean, he will be quite upset tonight, I believe. So that means, let's just see the results one more time. That means that we're very likely to have a three-way. No, four-way.
4-play.
So 4-play. No, 5.
Who's the 5th?
I wonder Liang.
Wonder Liang and Gajewski
and
Nabati.
Nabati and these 2. Let's see if Nabati, we thought he was on the verge of winning.
Yeah, c6 and queen b3, and they played like I predicted this endgame, but it's completely lost, I guess. I take on b3 and play c7 and play rook b8. And it's impossible to. It's just impossible to stop c pawn from queening.
Yep. Okay, so let's go back to see what else is still going on boards 11 to 20.
Yes. We have.
Meanwhile, Thibaut Johannes Haug has resigned.
Yeah.
So there's only one game still going. It's Shakachikin against Lurbe.
Yeah, Patrick Lurbe. He's, I guess he's the 3rd highest rated Swedish player in this field, yeah.
And we have another rook ending. Lurbeck is down a pawn.
Yeah.
But does he have chances to hold?
Yeah, but he's also quite passive. Because you're almost in a Sugsang here as black, because you cannot play, for example, king f5. You cannot move the king
because rook f7.
Rook f7 will win, and the rook is. If you move the rook, you allow rook c6, and you.
What do you do?
You have to give a check, maybe, but then you force the white king towards the b6 pawn. You can try to go back, but it looks on the verge of winning now. You will. The idea is to win these pawns, but
am I in time to take on b6 or not?
Actually, you can. Yeah, you can take on b6.
Show us the lines you are calculating.
Yeah, I was thinking about rook c4 here also. The idea is that if you take, I'm gonna win the pawn endgame. Otherwise, I'm just gonna take on b6. Same happens after king e5. I play rook e4, and if you play here, I give check first and then rook e4. So, and if you defend the pawn, I go rook c6. And if you play rook b3 check, I go rook b4, and then I take b6. So that's why I was thinking rook c4 maybe forces black to like play king g7 first, and the rook is quite useful on the c4 if I take now, for example.
We'll play a5, and you're probably not even in time to take g3 because of rook a4.
Yeah. So maybe it's just a slight improvement, even though you can probably take as well. So, but I don't know. I mean, this is probably lost. I don't know how to save the game. You can try to play a move like g5 also. The idea is just to get rid of some pawns, maybe. And let's say I take with the king.
I guess you have to try g5 because the line we looked at seems to pretty much lose by force.
Because maybe there's some hope for black in this position, but
at least you're not in this position where you basically don't have a move, pretty much.
Yeah.
And also, the more pawns you eliminate, I guess.
It gives some chances for some counterplay also with the, like rook f6 or h4. You need some squares on the. You need to defend this pawn on b6 as long as you can, and at the same time create some counterplay. So g5 is maybe only chance here. But it looks still it looks very very dangerous for black.
I think that brings us almost to the close of today, because let's check back in one last time with board 10 first, and then we'll finish the show with a last look at board 2. But looks like Nabati is cruising.
Yeah. So they entered this endgame, and he played your move g6, takes king g7, rook e5, takes king g4, king f6, and it's white to move here. But I guess he goes f4. But isn't this?
Or maybe even can I go rook h5?
Yeah, after rook h5, I'm forced to go back, I guess. But this almost looks lost for me after f4, because if the rook ever leaves the 5th rank, let's say rook a1, I give a check, and then I enter with the king also.
That looks.
That's why the rook on a5 is stuck there somehow.
And if I go to a6, rook a6?
Yeah, rook a6. Rook a6. Maybe I can just play like rook. I can maybe play rook d6. If I go here, you have rook d6, which is okay.
Because then after that I can even play h5, I guess.
Yeah. Rook a6 looks like the. Yeah, he played f4, and he found the rook a6.
I mean, it's pretty much the only move, because we have to bring the rook. We cannot play, I guess.
Yeah, rook a6 is actually important. Even though the computer is suggesting that white is winning now, which might be true. But the problem is that we are short of squares on the 5th rank with white also, so we need to find a better square for our rook. Maybe we can play rook to e4. Rook e4. My idea is something like rook d6 and rook d4. And I want to make you make black in Zugzwang here. If you play h5, I'm gonna take the pawn. Maybe what did I play? Rook h5. Yeah. So I guess he's gonna go king g6.
And can I go f5?
You don't really want to play f5 if it's not extremely strong, because you need
but
some
do I have
entry
time?
square.
So if I go f5,
Yeah,
king
go
g7, king f4.
Yeah. Yeah, this looks.
Maybe a king is just. I mean, I'm gonna bring.
Yeah. The rook. He played rook h5, and no.
Yeah,
Yes.
black is thinking after rook h5.
Because if you play something else, I would enter with the king. If you go here, I'm gonna go king f5 now. This should be lost. So king g6 is the only chance, I guess. Check. Can go here also, but king f4. It looks winning for me. I mean, he's two pass pawns.
Okay, so shall we have a final look at board 2? I think we concluded that in our opinion the two rook endings that are going on are both winning for the side that is a pawn up. And we're gonna conclude the show with a final look at board 2, Tamir Nabati against Volkov. I think a very well played game by Nabati.
Yeah.
Today.
So.
Because we got this position out of the opening where, okay, white won a pawn pretty much out of the opening, but it looked like black, could try and hold on, but he made it look very effortless. I'm not sure if Volkov put up the best defense he could have, but...
Now, black is basically maybe one move from making a draw now. But white is
not in time.
It's just in time to play c7, and he had to sacrifice the exchange, even though if you take twice, rook b8 will decide the game. So he's hoping to get the c7 pawn as well, but it's not
gonna happen.
Not gonna happen really. Because if the king is on h1.
Otherwise there might be some tactics.
Yeah, because otherwise black could take with the bishop now.
Check,
but after rook c3, you cannot unpin yourself. Rook c1 is winning, so. And after, if you play knight bishop e5, I have rook d8 check. So that's why bishop e7. But that means that black will not win the c7 pawn, and it should be just completely.
Yeah, I guess.
Completely lost, because now you still have to have d8.
Black will resign here simply.
Yeah, you can try bishop g5. But now there are many moves.
Can I even go rook b1 simply, or simply take on h7?
Yeah.
Actually, what if
you can also try to make. You can also take away the squares from the bishop. You can play like g3, for example, and the idea is to play h4 and rook e6. So let's say I play a5, I play h4, bishop f6, and then a rook e6. And you cannot cover d8 anymore.
That's also a nice way.
I think
to
it's
wrap it up.
Impossible to. I think, and after you can play it in like all versions. So you can play rook e6 here, and after this you can play g3 and then h4. And it's game over.
That's very nice. Okay, so I think there is no way Nabati is not going to win this game, so that will leave us with five co-leaders. Let's just bring up the results one more time to show you who those will be. So Lagarde, Gopal, Nabati, Gajewski and a Wonder Liang will enter tomorrow's 7th round as the co-leaders. Thank you very much, Jonathan, for joining me. We will be back tomorrow with round 7 at 3:45 p.m. local time, that is Central European time. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.